1. Introduction to foraging. 1.1 What is foraging? Foraging is the act of searching, gathering, and harvesting wild plants and other natural resources for food, medicine, and other purposes. It is a practice that has been carried out by humans for thousands of years, dating back to our hunter-gatherer ancestors. In recent years, foraging has experienced a resurgence in popularity as people seek to reconnect with nature, embrace sustainable living, and explore the abundance of edible plants that can be found in their local environments. 1.1.1 The history of foraging. Foraging has been an integral part of human survival and culture throughout history. In ancient times, our ancestors relied on foraging as their primary means of obtaining food. They would venture into the wild, armed with their knowledge of edible plants, to gather fruits, nuts, roots, and other plant-based resources. Foraging was not only a means of sustenance but also a way to connect with the natural world and understand the rhythms of the seasons. As civilization progressed and agriculture became more prevalent, foraging gradually declined in importance. However, it never completely disappeared, as certain cultures and communities continued to rely on wild plants for sustenance and medicinal purposes. In recent years, there has been a renewed interest in foraging, driven by a desire to embrace sustainable practices, reconnect with nature, and explore the nutritional and medicinal benefits of wild plants. 1.1.2 The benefits of foraging. Foraging offers a multitude of benefits, both for individuals and the environment. Here are some of the key advantages. 1. Connection with nature. Foraging provides an opportunity to immerse oneself in the natural world, fostering a deeper connection with the environment. It allows individuals to develop a greater appreciation for the diversity and beauty of the plant kingdom, as well as the interconnectedness of all living things. 2. Nutritional value. Wild plants are often more nutrient-dense than their cultivated counterparts. Foraging allows individuals to access a wide range of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and phytochemicals that are beneficial for overall health and well-being. Incorporating wild plants into one's diet can contribute to a more varied and nutrient-rich eating pattern. 3. Sustainability. Foraging promotes sustainable living by reducing reliance on industrial agriculture and minimizing the carbon footprint associated with food production and transportation. By sourcing food directly from the wild, individuals can reduce their impact on the environment and support local ecosystems. 4. Cost savings. Foraging can be a cost-effective way to supplement one's diet. Instead of purchasing expensive specialty foods, individuals can gather wild plants for free or at a minimal cost. This can be particularly beneficial for those on a tight budget or living in areas with limited access to fresh produce. 5. Mental and physical well-being. Engaging in foraging activities can have positive effects on mental and physical health. Spending time in nature has been shown to reduce stress, improve mood, and enhance cognitive function. The physical activity involved in foraging, such as walking and bending, provides exercise and promotes overall fitness. 1.1.3 Foraging is a skill. Foraging is not just about gathering food, it is also a skill that requires knowledge, observation, and practice. Learning to identify edible plants, understanding their seasonal variations, and knowing how to harvest them sustainably are all essential aspects of foraging. Additionally, foraging involves understanding the ecological relationships between plants, animals, and the environment, as well as the cultural and historical significance of wild plants. By developing foraging skills, individuals can become more self-sufficient, resilient, and connected to their surroundings. They can gain a deeper understanding of the natural world and the importance of conservation. Foraging also provides an opportunity for lifelong learning, as there is always more to discover and explore in the realm of wild plants. In the following chapters, we will delve deeper into the world of foraging, exploring plant identification, harvesting techniques, culinary uses, nutritional value, and much more. Whether you are a beginner or an experienced forager, this book will serve as a comprehensive guide to help you navigate the fascinating and rewarding practice of foraging. Let's embark on this journey together and discover the bountiful treasures that nature has to offer. 1.2 Benefits of foraging. Foraging, the act of gathering wild plants and other natural resources for food, has been practiced by humans for thousands of years. In recent years, there has been a resurgence of interest in foraging as people seek to reconnect with nature, reduce their ecological footprint, and embrace a more sustainable and self-sufficient lifestyle. The benefits of foraging are numerous and extend beyond just the acquisition of food. In this section, we will explore some of the key benefits of foraging. 1.2.1 Nutritional value. One of the primary benefits of foraging is the nutritional value of the wild plants that can be harvested. Edible wild plants are often rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, making them a valuable addition to a healthy diet. Many wild plants contain higher levels of certain nutrients compared to their cultivated counterparts. For example, wild greens such as dandelion greens and stinging nettles are packed with vitamins A, C, and K, as well as iron and calcium. By incorporating a variety of wild plants into your diet, you can enhance your overall nutritional intake and support your health and well-being. 1.2.2 Cost savings. Foraging can also provide significant cost savings. With the rising prices of fresh produce and the increasing demand for organic and locally sourced foods, foraging offers a free and sustainable alternative. By gathering wild plants, you can reduce your grocery bills and enjoy the satisfaction of obtaining food directly from nature. Foraging can be particularly beneficial for those on a tight budget or living in areas with limited access to fresh produce. It allows individuals and families to supplement their meals with nutritious and flavorful ingredients without breaking the bank. 1.2.3 Environmental Sustainability. Another important benefit of foraging is its positive impact on the environment. By gathering wild plants, you are reducing the demand for commercially grown crops, which often require large amounts of water, pesticides, and fertilizers. Foraging promotes biodiversity by encouraging the consumption of a wide range of plant species, including those that are often overlooked or considered weeds. This helps to preserve and protect natural habitats and ecosystems. Additionally, foraging reduces food waste by utilizing plants that would otherwise go unused or be discarded. 1.2.4 Connection to nature. Foraging provides a unique opportunity to connect with nature on a deeper level. It allows individuals to develop a greater appreciation for the natural world and the abundance it provides. Spending time outdoors, exploring different environments, and learning about the plants that grow in your surroundings can foster a sense of wonder and awe. Foraging encourages mindfulness and a slower pace of life, as you become attuned to the rhythms of the seasons and the cycles of nature. It can be a meditative and grounding practice that promotes mental well-being and reduces stress. 1.2.5 Cultural and historical significance. Foraging has played a significant role in human history and culture. Many indigenous communities have relied on wild plants as a staple food source for generations. By engaging in foraging, you can gain a deeper understanding of traditional knowledge and cultural practices. Foraging can be a way to honor and preserve ancestral traditions, as well as to learn from the wisdom of indigenous peoples. It provides an opportunity to reconnect with our roots and appreciate the deep connection between humans and the natural world. 1.2.6 Sense of adventure and discovery. Foraging offers a sense of adventure and discovery as you explore the natural landscape in search of edible treasures. It allows you to engage all your senses, from the sight of vibrant berries to the smell of fragrant herbs. Foraging encourages curiosity and a lifelong learning mindset, as there is always something new to discover and learn about the plants in your environment. It can be a fun and rewarding activity for individuals of all ages, providing a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction when you successfully identify and harvest edible plants. In conclusion, foraging offers a multitude of benefits, ranging from nutritional value and cost savings to environmental sustainability and a deeper connection to nature. By embracing foraging as a way of life, you can not only nourish your body with nutritious wild plants but also cultivate a greater appreciation for the natural world and the resources it provides. So grab your basket and venture into the wild, and let the benefits of foraging enrich your life. 1.3 Safety precautions for foraging. Foraging for edible wild plants can be a rewarding and fulfilling experience, but it is important to prioritize safety when venturing into the natural world. While many wild plants are safe to consume, there are also numerous poisonous plants that can cause harm if ingested. Therefore, it is crucial to take certain precautions to ensure a safe foraging experience. In this section, we will discuss some important safety measures to consider before and during your foraging adventures. 1.3.1 Educate yourself. Before you embark on your foraging journey, it is essential to educate yourself about the plants in your area. Familiarize yourself with the common edible plants as well as the poisonous ones that may resemble them. Invest time in studying field guides, attending workshops, or joining local foraging groups to learn from experienced foragers. By increasing your knowledge and understanding of the plants, you will be better equipped to identify and avoid potential dangers. 1.3.2 Accurate plant identification. Accurate plant identification is crucial for safe foraging. Mistaking a poisonous plant for an edible one can have serious consequences. Take the time to carefully examine the plant's features, including its leaves, stems, flowers, and fruits. Pay attention to any distinguishing characteristics that can help you differentiate between similar-looking species. When in doubt, it is always best to err on the side of caution and avoid consuming any plant that you are unsure about. 1.3.3 Avoid areas of contamination. When foraging, it is important to be mindful of the environment in which the plants are growing. Avoid areas that may be contaminated with pollutants, such as industrial sites, roadsides, or areas sprayed with pesticides. These contaminants can be absorbed by the plants and pose a risk to your health. Instead, focus on foraging in clean and natural environments, such as forests, meadows, or organic farms. 1.3.4 Harvest responsibly. Responsible harvesting is essential for the sustainability of wild plant populations. When foraging, only take what you need and avoid overharvesting. Removing too many plants from an area can disrupt the ecosystem and prevent the plants from regenerating. Additionally, be mindful of the plant's growth stage. Avoid harvesting immature plants or those that are rare or endangered. By practicing responsible harvesting, you can ensure the long-term availability of edible plants for both yourself and future foragers. 1.3.5 Use proper tools and equipment. Using the right tools and equipment is important for both your safety and the well-being of the plants. Carry a sturdy pair of gloves to protect your hands from thorns, stinging nettles, or poisonous plants. A sharp knife or pair of pruning shears will come in handy for harvesting plants without damaging them. It is also advisable to bring a basket or bag to store your foraged plants, ensuring they remain fresh and undamaged. 1.3.6 Be aware of allergies and sensitivities. Before consuming any wild plant, it is crucial to be aware of any allergies or sensitivities you may have. Some people may have adverse reactions to certain plants, even if they are generally considered safe to eat. Start by consuming small amounts of a new plant and observe your body's reaction. If you experience any discomfort, such as itching, swelling, or digestive issues, discontinue consumption immediately and seek medical advice if necessary. 1.3.7 Avoid plants with unknown toxicity. While it is exciting to discover new plants during your foraging expeditions, it is best to avoid consuming plants with unknown toxicity. Some plants may have limited information available regarding their edibility or potential toxicity. It is advisable to wait until you can positively identify and confirm the safety of such plants before including them in your foraged meals. 1.3.8 Practice proper hygiene. Maintaining proper hygiene practices is essential when foraging for wild plants. Wash your hands thoroughly before and after handling any plants to prevent the spread of bacteria or contaminants. If possible, bring along hand sanitizer or wet wipes to clean your hands when water is not readily available. Additionally, ensure that the plants you forage are clean and free from dirt, insects, or other debris before consuming or storing them. 1.3.9 Forage with a buddy. Foraging with a buddy is not only more enjoyable but also safer. Having a companion can provide an extra set of eyes to help identify plants accurately and offer assistance in case of any accidents or emergencies. It is also helpful to share knowledge and experiences with each other, enhancing the overall foraging experience. 1.3.10 Respect nature and wildlife. While foraging, it is important to respect the natural environment and the wildlife that inhabits it. Avoid trampling on plants or disturbing their habitats unnecessarily. Be mindful of nesting birds, burrowing animals, or other creatures that may be affected by your presence. By practicing responsible foraging, you can minimize your impact on the ecosystem and contribute to its preservation. By following these safety precautions, you can enjoy the bounties of nature while minimizing the risks associated with foraging. Remember, safety should always be your top priority. Happy and safe foraging. 1.4 Tools and equipment for foraging. Foraging for edible wild plants can be an exciting and rewarding experience. However, to ensure a successful and safe foraging trip, it is important to have the right tools and equipment. In this section, we will discuss the essential items you should have with you when venturing out into the wild to gather wild plants. 1.4.1 Gathering tools. When it comes to gathering edible wild plants, having the right tools can make the process much easier and more efficient. Here are some essential gathering tools to consider. 1.4.1.1 Foraging basket. A foraging basket is an essential tool for collecting and carrying your foraged finds. Look for a basket that is lightweight, sturdy, and has a comfortable handle. It should be large enough to hold a decent amount of plants but not too bulky to carry around. A basket with a breathable design is ideal for preventing moisture buildup and keeping your plants fresh. 1.4.1.2 Foraging bag. If you prefer a hands-free option, a foraging bag can be a great alternative to a basket. Look for a bag with multiple compartments or pockets to keep different plants separate. A bag with adjustable straps will allow you to wear it comfortably on your back or across your chest. 1.4.1.3 Pruning shears. Pruning shears are essential for harvesting plants with woody stems or thick foliage. They allow you to make clean cuts without damaging the plant. Look for shears with a sharp blade and a comfortable grip. It is also a good idea to carry a small sharpening stone to keep the blades sharp during your foraging trips. 1.4.1.4 Scissors. Scissors are useful for harvesting plants with delicate stems or leaves. They allow for precise cutting and are especially handy when dealing with thorny or prickly plants. Choose a pair of scissors with a sharp blade and a comfortable handle. 1.4.1.5 Digging tools. Some edible wild plants, such as tubers or roots, require digging to harvest. A small hand trowel or a digging fork can be useful for this purpose. Look for tools that are lightweight and durable. Remember to use them responsibly and avoid damaging the environment. 1.4.2 Safety equipment. Foraging in the wild comes with its own set of risks, so it is important to prioritize safety. Here are some essential safety equipment items to consider. 1.4.2.1 Gloves. Wearing gloves is crucial when foraging to protect your hands from thorns, prickles, or poisonous plants. Choose gloves that are durable, flexible, and provide good grip. Opt for gloves made from breathable materials to prevent excessive sweating. 1.4.2.2 Long-sleeved clothing and pants. Wearing long-sleeved clothing and pants can provide an extra layer of protection against scratches, insect bites, and exposure to poisonous plants. Choose lightweight and breathable fabrics that will keep you comfortable in various weather conditions. 1.4.2.3 Hat and sunscreen. When foraging in sunny conditions, it is important to protect yourself from harmful UV rays. Wear a wide-brimmed hat to shield your face and neck from the sun. Additionally, apply sunscreen with a high SPF to exposed areas of your skin. 1.4.2.4 Insect repellent. Insects can be a nuisance when foraging, so it is important to have insect repellent on hand. Look for a repellent that is effective against a wide range of insects and apply it according to the instructions on the label. 1.4.3 Navigation and Safety Tools. When venturing into unfamiliar territory, it is important to have the right tools to navigate and ensure your safety. Here are some essential navigation and safety tools to consider. 1.4.3.1 Map and Compass. Carrying a map and compass is essential for navigating through unfamiliar terrain. Familiarize yourself with the area before your foraging trip and learn how to use a compass to orient yourself. It is also a good idea to have a backup map on your phone or GPS device. 1.4.3.2 First Aid Kit. Accidents can happen, so it is important to have a well-stocked first aid kit with you. Include items such as bandages, antiseptic wipes, tweezers, and any necessary medication. Familiarize yourself with basic first aid procedures before your trip. 1.4.3.3 Whistle and Signal Mirror. In case of an emergency, a whistle and signal mirror can be life-saving tools. A whistle can help you attract attention, while a signal mirror can be used to reflect sunlight and signal for help. 1.4.3.4 Headlamp or flashlight. Having a reliable source of light is essential, especially if you plan to forage during early morning or late evening hours. Carry a headlamp or flashlight with extra batteries to ensure you can navigate safely in low-light conditions. 1.4.4 Additional considerations. In addition to the tools and equipment mentioned above, there are a few other items that can enhance your foraging experience. 1.4.4.1 Field Guide or Plant Identification App. Carrying a field guide or using a plant identification app can be incredibly helpful when identifying edible plants. Look for a guide or app that is specific to your region and includes detailed descriptions, photographs, and information on the plant's edible parts. 1.4.4.2 Water and Snacks. Staying hydrated and energized is important during a foraging trip. Carry an adequate supply of water and pack some lightweight snacks to keep your energy levels up. 1.4.4.3 Camera or Notebook. Documenting your foraging adventures can be both educational and enjoyable. Carry a camera or a notebook to record the plants you encounter, their locations, and any other observations you make during your trip. Remember, always respect the environment and follow ethical foraging practices. Leave no trace and only take what you need. With the right tools and equipment, you can embark on a safe and successful foraging journey. 2. Identifying edible plants. 2.1 Plant Identification Basics. Before you embark on your foraging journey, it is essential to familiarize yourself with the basics of plant identification. Being able to accurately identify edible plants is crucial for your safety and enjoyment while foraging. In this section, we will explore the fundamental principles of plant identification and provide you with the knowledge you need to confidently identify edible plants in the wild. 2.1.1 Observation and Documentation. Observation is the key to successful plant identification. When you encounter a plant in the wild, take the time to carefully observe its various features. Start by examining the plant's overall shape, size, and growth habit. Notice the arrangement and shape of the leaves, the color and texture of the stems, and the presence of any flowers or fruits. To aid in your identification process, it is helpful to keep a field notebook or a smartphone app dedicated to documenting your findings. Take detailed notes about the plant's characteristics, including its height, leaf shape, flower color, and any distinctive features. Additionally, capture clear photographs of the plant from different angles, focusing on its leaves, flowers, and fruits. These records will serve as valuable references when you are researching and confirming the plant's identity later. 2.1.2 Leaf Characteristics. The leaves of a plant are often the most accessible and distinctive features for identification. Pay close attention to the shape, size, arrangement, and texture of the leaves. Some common leaf shapes include ovate, egg-shaped, lanceolate, long and narrow, and palmate, hand-shaped. Leaf margins can be smooth, serrated, lobed, or toothed, which can provide further clues for identification. Leaf arrangement refers to how the leaves are positioned on the stem. They can be alternate, opposite, or whorled. Alternate leaves are arranged in a staggered pattern along the stem, while opposite leaves grow in pairs directly across from each other. Whorled leaves are arranged in a circular pattern around the stem. Leaf texture can vary greatly among different plant species. Some leaves are smooth and glossy, while others may be hairy or have a rough texture. These characteristics can help narrow down the possibilities when identifying a plant. 2.1.3 Flower and Fruit Characteristics. Flowers and fruits are essential for identifying plants, as they often have distinct shapes, colors, and patterns. Pay attention to the size, shape, and color of the flowers. Note the number of petals, the arrangement of the flower parts such as stamens and pistils, and any unique features, such as fragrance or nectar production. Fruits can also provide valuable information for identification. Observe the size, shape, color, and texture of the fruit. Note whether it is a berry, drupe, capsule, or another type of fruit. Some fruits may have distinctive features, such as spines, hairs, or hooks, which can aid in identification. 2.1.4 Stem and bark characteristics. While leaves, flowers, and fruits are often the primary focus of plant identification, the stem and bark can also provide valuable clues. Examine the stem's color, texture, and shape. Note whether it is woody or herbaceous, smooth or rough, and whether it has any distinctive features, such as thorns or ridges. Bark characteristics can be particularly useful for identifying trees and shrubs. Note the color, texture, and pattern of the bark. Some trees have smooth bark, while others have rough or peeling bark. Pay attention to any unique features, such as fissures, lenticels, or resinous exudates. 2.1.5 Using field guides and online resources. While observation and documentation are essential skills for plant identification, it is also helpful to utilize field guides and online resources to supplement your knowledge. Field guides provide detailed descriptions, photographs, and illustrations of various plant species, making it easier to compare and identify plants in the field. Look for guides specific to your region or the type of plants you are interested in foraging. Online resources, such as plant identification websites and forums, can also be valuable tools. These platforms often have extensive databases of plant species, allowing you to search for specific characteristics or browse through photos for comparison. Additionally, you can seek help from experienced foragers and botanists who can provide guidance and answer any questions you may have. Remember, plant identification takes practice and patience. It is essential to cross-reference multiple sources and consult experts when in doubt. With time and experience, you will become more confident in your ability to identify edible plants and embark on exciting foraging adventures. 2.2 Common edible plants. When it comes to foraging for wild plants, it is essential to have a good understanding of the common edible plants that can be found in your area. Knowing which plants are safe to eat and how to identify them is crucial for a successful foraging experience. In this section, we will explore some of the most common edible plants that you may encounter while foraging. 2.2.1 Dandelion, Taraxacum officinale. Dandelions are one of the most recognizable and abundant edible plants. The entire plant is edible, from the bright yellow flowers to the leaves and roots. Dandelion leaves can be used in salads or cooked as greens, while the flowers can be used to make dandelion wine or infused into teas. The roots can be roasted and used as a coffee substitute. 2.2.2 Nettles, Urtica dioica. Despite their stinging reputation, nettles are highly nutritious and versatile plants. The young leaves can be harvested and cooked as a nutritious green vegetable. Nettles are rich in vitamins A and C, iron, and calcium. They can be used in soups, stews, or even made into a pesto. 2.2.3 Wild garlic, Allium vinale. Wild garlic, also known as ramps or wild leeks, is a popular edible plant with a strong garlic flavor. The leaves, bulbs, and flowers of wild garlic are all edible. The leaves can be used in salads, soups, or as a seasoning in various dishes. The bulbs can be pickled or used in place of traditional garlic cloves. 2.2.4 Blackberries, Rubus spp. Blackberries are a delicious and abundant wild fruit that can be found in many regions. They are rich in antioxidants and vitamins. Blackberries can be eaten fresh, used in desserts, or made into jams and jellies. They can also be dried for later use in trail mixes or herbal teas. 2.2.5 Elderberries, Sambucus spp. Elderberries are small, dark purple berries that grow on the elder tree. They are packed with antioxidants and have immune-boosting properties. Elderberries can be used to make jams, jellies, syrups, or even wine. However, it is important to note that elderberries must be cooked before consumption, as the raw berries can cause digestive issues. 2.2.6 Wild strawberries, Fragaria vesca. Wild strawberries are smaller and more flavorful than their cultivated counterparts. They can be found in woodlands, meadows, and even in urban areas. Wild strawberries can be eaten fresh, added to salads, or used in desserts. They are a delightful treat while foraging. 2.2.7 Chickweed, Stellaria media. Chickweed is a common edible plant that is often considered a weed. It has small, delicate leaves and tiny white flowers. Chickweed can be eaten raw in salads or cooked as a green vegetable. It is rich in vitamins and minerals, including vitamin C and iron. 2.2.8 Wild mushrooms, various species. Foraging for wild mushrooms requires a higher level of expertise and caution. However, there are several edible mushroom species that are commonly sought after by foragers. Some popular edible mushrooms include morels, chanterelles, porcini, and oyster mushrooms. It is crucial to accurately identify mushrooms before consuming them, as many poisonous lookalikes exist. 2.2.9 Purslane, Portulaca oleracea. Purslane is a succulent plant that is often considered a weed. It has thick, fleshy leaves and a slightly tangy flavor. Purslane is rich in omega-3 fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals. It can be used in salads, stir-fries, or even pickled. 2.2.10 Wild asparagus, Asparagus officinalis. Wild asparagus is a delightful find for foragers. It closely resembles cultivated asparagus but has a more intense flavor. Wild asparagus can be found in meadows, along riverbanks, or in open woodlands. It can be cooked or grilled as a side dish or used in various recipes. These are just a few examples of the common edible plants that you may encounter while foraging. It is important to remember that proper identification is crucial before consuming any wild plants. Always consult reliable field guides or seek guidance from experienced foragers to ensure your safety and enjoyment while foraging. 2.3 Poisonous lookalikes. When foraging for edible wild plants, it is crucial to be able to distinguish them from their poisonous lookalikes. While many wild plants are safe to eat and offer a variety of flavors and nutrients, there are also plants that can be harmful or even deadly if consumed. Therefore, it is essential to educate yourself on the characteristics of both edible plants and their poisonous counterparts to ensure your safety while foraging. 2.3.1 Identifying poisonous lookalikes. Identifying poisonous lookalikes can be challenging, as they often resemble edible plants in appearance, smell, and even taste. However, there are some key differences that can help you differentiate between the two. Here are a few common examples of poisonous lookalikes and their edible counterparts. Poison hemlock Conium maculatum versus wild carrot Daucus carota. Poison hemlock has smooth, hairless stems with purple spots and a musty odor. Its leaves are fern-like and have a shiny appearance. Wild carrot, also known as Queen Anne's lace, has hairy stems and leaves that are feathery and finely divided. It has a carrot-like smell and a white, lacy flower head. Deadly nightshade Atropa belladonna versus blackberry Rubus spp. Deadly nightshade has dark purple or black berries that are highly toxic. Its leaves are oval-shaped and have a glossy appearance. Blackberry plants have thorny stems and produce clusters of small, edible berries. The leaves are serrated and have a rough texture. False morel Gyrometra spp. Versus true morel Morchella spp. False morels have a brain-like appearance and a cap that is wrinkled and convoluted. They can vary in color from yellowish to brownish. True morels have a distinctive honeycomb-like cap with pits and ridges. They are usually tan or brown in color and have a hollow stem. 2.3.2 Tips for differentiating edible plants from poisonous lookalikes. To avoid the risk of consuming poisonous plants, it is important to follow these tips when identifying edible plants and distinguishing them from their toxic counterparts. Research and study. Familiarize yourself with the characteristics of both edible plants and their poisonous lookalikes. Use field guides, reputable websites, and consult with experienced foragers to enhance your knowledge. Pay attention to details. Examine the plant's leaves, stems, flowers, and fruits carefully. Look for distinct features that can help you differentiate between edible and poisonous species. Smell and taste. While it is generally not recommended to taste unknown plants, some edible plants have distinct smells or flavors that can help confirm their identity. However, never rely solely on taste as a means of identification. Consult experts. If you are uncertain about the identification of a plant, seek guidance from experienced foragers, botanists, or local experts who can help you make an accurate determination. Start with easily identifiable plants. When starting out, focus on foraging for plants that have easily recognizable characteristics and are less likely to have poisonous lookalikes. This will help build your confidence and knowledge before venturing into more complex identification. Keep a foraging journal. Document your findings, including photographs, descriptions, and locations of the plants you encounter. This will serve as a valuable reference for future foraging trips and help you track your learning progress. 2.3.3 Common mistakes to avoid. When it comes to identifying edible plants and their poisonous lookalikes, there are some common mistakes that foragers should be aware of. Relying solely on visual similarities. While some poisonous plants may resemble edible ones, it is important to consider other factors such as smell, taste, and habitat. Visual similarities alone are not enough to determine the safety of a plant. Assuming all similar-looking plants are safe, even if a plant closely resembles a known edible species, it does not guarantee its safety. Always verify the identity of a plant through multiple reliable sources before consuming it. Ignoring seasonal variations. Some plants may change their appearance throughout different stages of growth or during different seasons. Be aware of these variations to avoid mistaking a poisonous lookalike for an edible plant. Overconfidence. Foragers who have gained experience in identifying edible plants may become overconfident and overlook important details. Always approach each plant with caution and double-check your identification. Remember, the consequences of consuming a poisonous plant can be severe, so it is crucial to exercise caution and thoroughness when identifying wild plants. By educating yourself, seeking guidance from experts, and practicing careful observation, you can confidently differentiate between edible plants and their potentially harmful lookalikes, ensuring a safe and enjoyable foraging experience. 2.4 Seasonal variations in edible plants. As you become more experienced in foraging, you will quickly realize that the availability of edible plants varies throughout the year. Understanding the seasonal variations in edible plants is crucial for successful foraging. Each season brings its own unique selection of wild edibles, and being aware of these changes will greatly enhance your foraging experience. 2.4.1 Spring. Spring is a time of renewal and abundance in the natural world, and it is no different when it comes to edible plants. As the weather warms up and the days become longer, a wide variety of wild edibles start to emerge. This is the season when many leafy greens and early flowering plants make their appearance. One of the most sought-after spring edibles is the stinging nettle. Despite its prickly reputation, nettle is highly nutritious and can be used in a variety of dishes, such as soups, teas, and pestos. Other common spring edibles include dandelion greens, chickweed, wild garlic, and ramps. These plants are packed with vitamins and minerals and can be used in salads, stir-fries, or sautéed as a side dish. 2.4.2 Summer. Summer is a bountiful season for foragers, with an abundance of fruits, berries, and edible flowers. This is the time when many plants reach their peak in terms of growth and flavor. Berries such as blackberries, raspberries, and blueberries are in abundance during the summer months. They can be enjoyed fresh, used in desserts, or preserved for later use. Edible flowers also make their appearance in summer, adding color and flavor to dishes. Nasturtiums, borage, and calendula are just a few examples of edible flowers that can be used to garnish salads or infused into oils and vinegars. Additionally, summer is the season for wild mushrooms, such as chanterelles and porcini, which can be found in certain regions. 2.4.3 Fall. Fall is a season of transition, as the days become shorter and the temperatures start to cool down. Despite this, there are still plenty of edible plants to be found in the wild. Fall is known for its abundance of nuts and seeds, which are an excellent source of healthy fats and protein. Acorns, chestnuts, and hazelnuts are just a few examples of nuts that can be foraged in the fall. These can be roasted, ground into flour, or used in various recipes. Seeds such as sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds are also plentiful during this season and can be enjoyed as a snack or added to baked goods. In addition to nuts and seeds, fall is a great time to forage for mushrooms. Many varieties of wild mushrooms thrive in the cooler temperatures and damp conditions of autumn. It is important to have a good understanding of mushroom identification before venturing into mushroom foraging, as some species can be toxic. 2.4.4 Winter. Winter may seem like a challenging time for foraging, but there are still edible plants to be found, especially in milder climates. While the selection may be more limited compared to other seasons, there are still a few hardy plants that can be foraged during the winter months. One example is the wintergreen plant, which produces small red berries that have a minty flavor. These berries can be used to make teas or infused into syrups. Another winter foraging option is rose hips, which are the fruit of wild roses. Rose hips are rich in vitamin C and can be used to make jams, jellies, or herbal teas. It is important to note that foraging in winter requires extra caution, as some plants may be dormant or not easily visible. It is always best to consult local foraging guides or experts to ensure you are harvesting safely and sustainably. Conclusion. Understanding the seasonal variations in edible plants is essential for successful foraging. Each season offers a unique selection of wild edibles, from leafy greens and early flowering plants in spring to fruits, berries, and mushrooms in summer and fall. Even in winter, there are still a few hardy plants that can be foraged. By being aware of these seasonal changes, you can make the most of your foraging adventures and enjoy a diverse range of wild foods throughout the year. 3. Foraging techniques. 3.1 Finding and recognizing edible plants. Foraging for edible plants can be a rewarding and sustainable way to connect with nature and provide nourishment. However, it is crucial to have a good understanding of how to find and recognize edible plants to ensure your safety and enjoyment. In this section, we will explore some essential techniques and tips for finding and identifying edible plants in the wild. 3.1.1 Observation and research. Before venturing into the wild to forage for edible plants, it is essential to do your homework. Familiarize yourself with the local flora and the specific plants that grow in your region. Researching and studying plant identification guides, field manuals, and online resources can provide valuable information about the characteristics, habitats, and seasons of edible plants. Observation is a key skill when it comes to finding and recognizing edible plants. Take the time to observe the natural environment and learn to identify different plant species. Pay attention to the shape, color, texture, and arrangement of leaves, flowers, and fruits. Notice the growth patterns, height, and overall appearance of plants. By developing a keen eye for detail, you will become more proficient in identifying edible plants. 3.1.2 Plant Identification Basics. When it comes to identifying edible plants, there are a few basic principles to keep in mind. First and foremost, never consume a plant unless you are absolutely certain of its identity. Some plants may have poisonous lookalikes, and misidentification can have severe consequences. It is always better to err on the side of caution and consult an expert or reliable resources if you are unsure. Start by focusing on a few easily recognizable edible plants that are abundant in your area. Learn to identify them correctly before moving on to more challenging species. Look for distinctive features such as unique leaf shapes, flower colors, or fruit characteristics that can help you differentiate between similar-looking plants. 3.1.3 Habitat and Seasonal Patterns. Understanding the habitat preferences and seasonal patterns of edible plants is crucial for successful foraging. Different plants thrive in specific environments, such as forests, meadows, coastal areas, or urban settings. By familiarizing yourself with the preferred habitats of edible plants, you can narrow down your search and increase your chances of finding them. Seasonality is another important factor to consider. Many edible plants have specific growing seasons, and their appearance and availability can vary throughout the year. Some plants may only be edible during certain stages of growth, while others may have different flavors or nutritional profiles depending on the season. Keep track of the seasonal variations in edible plants to optimize your foraging efforts. 3.1.4 Field Guides and Apps. Carrying a reliable field guide or using a plant identification app can be immensely helpful when foraging for edible plants. These resources provide detailed descriptions, photographs, and illustrations of various plant species, making it easier to identify them correctly. Look for guides or apps that are specific to your region to ensure accurate information. When using a field guide or app, pay attention to the key characteristics and distinguishing features mentioned for each plant. Compare these features with the plants you encounter in the field to confirm their identity. Remember that photographs or illustrations may not always capture the full range of variation within a species, so it is essential to rely on multiple sources for confirmation. 3.1.5 Learning from experienced foragers. One of the best ways to improve your skills in finding and recognizing edible plants is to learn from experienced foragers. Seek out local foraging groups, workshops, or guided walks in your area. These opportunities allow you to learn directly from knowledgeable individuals who can share their expertise and provide hands-on experience in identifying edible plants. Engaging with experienced foragers also provides an opportunity to learn about the cultural and historical significance of edible plants in your region. They can share traditional knowledge, stories, and recipes that have been passed down through generations. Building connections with the foraging community can enrich your foraging experience and deepen your understanding of the natural world. 3.1.6 Ethical Foraging Practices. While foraging for edible plants, it is essential to practice ethical foraging to ensure the sustainability and preservation of natural ecosystems. Here are a few key principles to keep in mind. Only harvest what you need, take only what you will use and leave the rest for other foragers, wildlife, and the plant's reproductive cycle. Respect protected areas and private property. Be aware of any restrictions or regulations regarding foraging in specific areas. Always obtain permission before foraging on private property. Avoid overharvesting. Do not deplete an entire population of a plant species in one area. Harvest in moderation and allow the plants to regenerate. Preserve the environment. Leave no trace when foraging. Avoid damaging the surrounding vegetation or disturbing wildlife habitats. By following these ethical practices, you can contribute to the long-term sustainability of edible plants and ensure their availability for future generations. In the next section, we will explore various harvesting techniques to help you gather edible plants effectively and responsibly. 3.2 Harvesting Techniques. Harvesting edible wild plants is a crucial step in the foraging process. It requires careful attention to detail and a good understanding of the plant's growth patterns and life cycle. In this section, we will explore various techniques for harvesting wild plants to ensure a sustainable and bountiful foraging experience. 3.2.1 Timing is key. Timing is crucial when it comes to harvesting wild plants. Different plants have different growth cycles, and it's important to harvest them at the right stage to ensure optimal flavor and nutritional value. Here are some general guidelines for timing your harvest. Flowering stage. Some plants, such as dandelions and elderflowers, are best harvested when they are in full bloom. The flowers are often used in culinary preparations or for making herbal teas and infusions. Leafy greens. Leafy greens, like spinach and nettles, are typically harvested when the leaves are young and tender. This is usually before the plant starts to flower. As the plant matures, the leaves can become tough and bitter. Berries and fruits. Berries and fruits should be harvested when they are fully ripe. This is when they are at their peak flavor and nutritional value. Be sure to check for signs of ripeness, such as color and texture, before harvesting. Roots and tubers. For plants that have edible roots or tubers, such as dandelion roots or wild carrots, it's best to harvest them in the fall or early spring when the plant has stored the most nutrients in its underground parts. By understanding the growth patterns of different plants, you can time your harvests to maximize the quality and quantity of your foraged foods. 3.2.2 Harvesting Methods. When it comes to harvesting wild plants, there are several methods you can use depending on the type of plant and its growth habit. Here are some common harvesting techniques. Handpicking. Handpicking is the most basic and widely used method for harvesting wild plants. It involves carefully plucking the plant parts, such as leaves, flowers, or berries, by hand. This method is suitable for delicate plants and ensures minimal damage to the surrounding vegetation. Cutting. Cutting is often used for harvesting plants with woody stems or for plants that produce multiple harvestable parts, such as herbs like rosemary or thyme. Use a sharp knife or pruning shears to make clean cuts just above a leaf node or bud. This encourages new growth and ensures the plant's continued health. Digging. For plants with edible roots or tubers, such as wild carrots or burdock, digging is necessary. Use a small garden trowel or a digging stick to carefully loosen the soil around the base of the plant. Gently lift the plant out of the ground, being careful not to damage the roots. Snapping. Some plants, like asparagus or young bamboo shoots, can be harvested by snapping off the tender shoots at ground level. Hold the shoot firmly in one hand and snap it off with a quick, downward motion. This method allows the plant to continue growing and producing more shoots. Shaking. Shaking is a useful technique for harvesting plants with loose seeds or fruits, such as berries or nuts. Simply hold a container or cloth beneath the plant and gently shake or tap the branches to dislodge the ripe fruits or seeds. This method is efficient and minimizes damage to the plant. Remember to always harvest responsibly and avoid overharvesting. Take only what you need and leave enough plants behind to ensure their continued growth and reproduction. 3.2.3 Handling and storing harvested plants. Once you have harvested your wild plants, it's important to handle and store them properly to maintain their freshness and quality. Here are some tips for handling and storing your foraged foods. Cleaning. Before storing, remove any dirt, insects, or damaged parts from the harvested plants. Gently rinse them under cool running water or soak them in a bowl of water to remove any debris. Be careful not to bruise or damage delicate leaves or fruits. Drying. Drying is a common method for preserving wild plants. Spread the clean plants in a single layer on a clean, dry surface, such as a drying rack or a clean towel. Place them in a well-ventilated area away from direct sunlight. Allow the plants to air dry until they are crisp and brittle. Refrigeration. Some wild plants, especially leafy greens and berries, can be stored in the refrigerator to prolong their freshness. Place them in a breathable container or a plastic bag with holes to allow for air circulation. Keep them in the crisper drawer or a cool part of the refrigerator. Freezing. Freezing is another effective method for preserving wild plants. Blanch the clean plants in boiling water for a short time, then transfer them to an ice bath to stop the cooking process. Drain and pat them dry before placing them in freezer-safe containers or bags. Label and date the containers for easy identification. Canning and fermenting. For long-term preservation, consider canning or fermenting your foraged foods. Canning involves sealing the plants in jars with a liquid or syrup, while fermenting uses beneficial bacteria to preserve the plants. Follow proper canning or fermenting techniques to ensure safety and quality. By following these handling and storage techniques, you can enjoy the flavors and benefits of your foraged foods for an extended period. Harvesting wild plants is a rewarding and sustainable way to connect with nature and enjoy the abundance of the natural world. By understanding the timing, techniques, and proper handling of harvested plants, you can make the most of your foraging adventures and create delicious meals with the treasures you find. 3.3 Sustainable Foraging Practices. Sustainable foraging practices are essential to ensure the long-term health and abundance of edible wild plants. By adopting sustainable techniques, foragers can minimize their impact on the environment and promote the regrowth and reproduction of these valuable resources. In this section, we will explore some key principles and strategies for sustainable foraging. 3.3.1 Understanding ecosystems. To practice sustainable foraging, it is crucial to have a deep understanding of the ecosystems in which edible plants grow. Each ecosystem has its own unique balance of flora and fauna, and disrupting this delicate balance can have detrimental effects on the environment. By familiarizing yourself with the local ecosystem, you can make informed decisions about where and when to forage, ensuring that you do not overharvest or damage sensitive habitats. 3.3.2 Harvesting responsibly. Responsible harvesting is a fundamental aspect of sustainable foraging. It involves taking only what is needed and leaving behind enough plants to allow for natural regeneration. Here are some guidelines to follow when harvesting wild plants. Selective harvesting. Instead of harvesting entire plants, focus on collecting specific parts such as leaves, flowers, or fruits. This allows the plant to continue growing and reproducing. Avoid overharvesting. Be mindful of the population size of the plant species you are foraging. If a plant is scarce or rare, consider leaving it untouched to ensure its survival. Leave no trace. When harvesting, do so in a way that minimizes your impact on the surrounding environment. Avoid trampling on other plants, disturbing wildlife habitats, or leaving behind any litter. Respect protected areas. Some areas may be designated as protected or off-limits for foraging. It is important to respect these regulations to preserve the biodiversity and natural beauty of these areas. 3.3.3 Regenerative Practices. In addition to responsible harvesting, foragers can also employ regenerative practices to promote the growth and sustainability of edible plants. These practices aim to enhance the natural processes of plant reproduction and regeneration. Here are some regenerative techniques to consider. Seed dispersal. Help spread the seeds of edible plants by scattering them in suitable areas during your foraging trips. This can aid in the establishment of new plants and contribute to the overall biodiversity of the ecosystem. Plant propagation. Learn how to propagate edible plants through methods such as seed germination, division, or cuttings. By growing your own plants, you can reduce the pressure on wild populations and ensure a sustainable supply. Habitat restoration. Get involved in habitat restoration projects in your local area. Participate in initiatives that aim to restore degraded ecosystems, such as planting native species or removing invasive plants. By improving the health of the environment, you are indirectly supporting the growth of edible plants. 3.3.4 Respect for wildlife. When foraging, it is important to remember that you are sharing the environment with a diverse range of wildlife. Respecting and protecting wildlife is an integral part of sustainable foraging. Here are some ways to minimize your impact on wildlife. Avoid disturbing nests and dens. Be cautious when moving through natural areas to avoid disturbing nesting birds, burrowing animals, or other wildlife habitats. Disturbing these habitats can disrupt breeding and nesting cycles. Leave food for wildlife. In some cases, leaving behind a portion of the foraged food can provide a valuable food source for wildlife. This can help maintain the balance of the ecosystem and support the survival of local wildlife populations. Be mindful of endangered species. Familiarize yourself with the endangered or protected species in your area. Take extra care to avoid disturbing or harvesting these plants to ensure their survival. 3.3.5 Sharing knowledge and resources. Sustainable foraging practices also involve sharing knowledge and resources with others. By educating and inspiring others to forage sustainably, we can collectively work towards preserving and protecting our natural environment. Here are some ways to share your knowledge. Community workshops. Organize workshops or community events to teach others about sustainable foraging practices. Share your experiences, tips, and techniques to empower others to forage responsibly. Online platforms. Utilize online platforms such as blogs, social media, or forums to share information about sustainable foraging. Engage in discussions, answer questions, and provide guidance to those interested in learning more. Collaborative projects. Join forces with local organizations, schools, or community groups to initiate collaborative projects focused on sustainable foraging. This can include creating educational materials, organizing foraging outings, or establishing community gardens. By adopting sustainable foraging practices, we can ensure the preservation of edible wild plants for future generations. Remember, the health of the environment and the well-being of the plants and wildlife should always be at the forefront of our foraging endeavors. 3.4 Foraging etiquette. Foraging is not just about finding and harvesting edible plants, it is also about respecting the environment and the communities that rely on these resources. Practicing good foraging etiquette ensures that we can continue to enjoy the benefits of foraging while minimizing our impact on the natural world. In this section, we will explore some essential guidelines for ethical foraging. 3.4.1 Respecting the environment. When foraging, it is crucial to remember that we are entering the homes of countless organisms and ecosystems. By following these guidelines, we can minimize our impact on the environment. Leave no trace. Take only what you need and leave the rest for the plants, animals, and other foragers. Avoid overharvesting and damaging the surrounding vegetation. Avoid sensitive areas. Be mindful of fragile ecosystems, such as wetlands, protected areas, and endangered plant species. These areas should be left undisturbed to maintain their ecological balance. Stay on designated paths. Stick to established trails and paths to avoid trampling on delicate plants and disturbing wildlife habitats. Do not damage plants. When harvesting, use proper techniques to minimize damage to the plant and its surroundings. Avoid uprooting plants unless necessary, and cut stems cleanly to promote regrowth. Respect wildlife. Be aware of the wildlife around you and do not disturb their habitats. Avoid foraging in areas where animals are nesting or feeding. 3.4.2 Conservation and sustainability. Foraging can have a positive impact on conservation efforts when done responsibly. Here are some guidelines to ensure the sustainability of foraging practices. Know your limits. Understand the local regulations and guidelines for foraging in your area. Some plants may be protected or have restrictions on harvesting. Practice selective harvesting. Only harvest mature plants and leave young or small ones to grow and reproduce. This ensures the survival of the species and maintains a healthy population. Avoid invasive species. Be aware of invasive plant species in your area and avoid spreading them further. Learn to identify and differentiate between native and invasive plants. Support native plant restoration. Participate in local conservation efforts by volunteering for native plant restoration projects. This helps restore natural habitats and promotes biodiversity. 3.4.3 Legal considerations for foraging. Foraging is subject to legal regulations in many areas. It is essential to be aware of these laws to avoid any legal issues. Here are some general considerations. Research local laws. Familiarize yourself with the laws and regulations regarding foraging in your region. Some areas may have restrictions on certain plants or harvesting methods. Obtain permits if required. In some cases, you may need permits or licenses to forage in specific areas or for certain plants. Check with local authorities or landowners to ensure compliance. Respect private property. Always seek permission from landowners before foraging on private property. Trespassing can lead to legal consequences. 3.4.4 Supporting local communities. Foraging can be a way to connect with local communities and support their livelihoods. Here are some ways to contribute positively. Buy local. If you are unable to forage for certain plants, consider purchasing them from local farmers or foragers. This supports their businesses and helps sustain the local economy. Share knowledge. Share your foraging knowledge with others, including friends, family, and community members. Encourage responsible foraging practices and educate others about the importance of sustainability. Participate in community events. Attend local foraging events, workshops, or festivals to learn from experienced foragers and connect with like-minded individuals. These events often promote sustainable foraging practices and provide opportunities to support local businesses. By following these guidelines, we can ensure that foraging remains a sustainable and enjoyable practice for generations to come. Let's respect the environment, support local communities, and foster a deeper connection with the natural world through ethical foraging. 4. Preparing and cooking wild plants. 4.1 Cleaning and washing techniques. Cleaning and washing wild plants is an essential step in the foraging process. It helps remove dirt, debris, and any potential contaminants that may be present on the plants. Proper cleaning and washing techniques ensure that the foraged plants are safe to consume and maintain their quality. In this section, we will explore various methods and tips for effectively cleaning and washing edible wild plants. 4.1.1 Removing dirt and debris. Before cleaning the plants, it is important to remove any visible dirt and debris. Start by gently shaking the plants to dislodge loose dirt and insects. You can also use a soft brush or cloth to brush off any stubborn dirt. Be careful not to damage the plants while doing this. 4.1.2 Water bath. One of the most common methods for cleaning wild plants is to give them a thorough water bath. Fill a clean basin or sink with cold water and submerge the plants. Gently swish them around to dislodge any remaining dirt or debris. Allow the plants to soak for a few minutes, then remove them from the water. 4.1.3 Vinegar solution. To further ensure the cleanliness of the plants, you can use a vinegar solution. Mix 1 part vinegar with 3 parts water in a bowl or basin. Submerge the plants in the solution and let them soak for a few minutes. Vinegar helps remove bacteria and other contaminants from the plants. After soaking, rinse the plants with clean water to remove any vinegar residue. 4.1.4 Saltwater solution. Another effective cleaning method is using a saltwater solution. Dissolve 1 tablespoon of salt in a bowl of water. Submerge the plants in the saltwater solution and let them soak for a few minutes. Saltwater helps kill any potential parasites or insects that may be present on the plants. Rinse the plants thoroughly with clean water after soaking. 4.1.5 Leaf by leaf cleaning. For plants with delicate leaves or those that are difficult to clean as a whole, such as herbs or small leafy greens, it is best to clean them leaf by leaf. Gently hold each leaf under running water and rub it between your fingers to remove any dirt or debris. Pay attention to the undersides of the leaves as well. This method ensures a thorough cleaning without damaging the plants. 4.1.6 Drying the plants. After cleaning, it is important to dry the plants properly before storing or using them. Excess moisture can lead to spoilage or the growth of mold. Shake off any excess water from the plants and pat them dry with a clean towel or paper towel. Alternatively, you can lay them out on a clean kitchen towel or drying rack to air dry. Make sure the plants are completely dry before storing them. 4.1.7 Storing clean plants. Once the plants are clean and dry, it is important to store them properly to maintain their freshness. If you plan to use them immediately, store them in the refrigerator in a breathable container or a plastic bag with holes punched in it. This allows air circulation and prevents the plants from becoming soggy. If you want to store the plants for a longer period, consider freezing or preserving them. Freezing is a great option for leafy greens and herbs. Blanch the plants by briefly immersing them in boiling water, then transfer them to an ice bath to cool. Pat them dry and place them in freezer-safe containers or bags. Label and date the containers before placing them in the freezer. Preserving methods such as drying or pickling can also be used for certain types of wild plants. Drying involves air drying the plants in a cool, dry place until they are completely dehydrated. Pickling involves immersing the plants in a vinegar-based brine solution. These methods can help extend the shelf life of the plants and allow you to enjoy them even when they are out of season. Remember, always exercise caution when foraging and consuming wild plants. If you are unsure about the safety or cleanliness of a plant, it is best to consult with an experienced forager or a local expert before consuming it. 4.2 Cooking methods for wild plants. Once you have successfully identified and harvested edible wild plants, the next step is to prepare and cook them. Cooking wild plants not only enhances their flavors but also helps to break down any toxins or tough fibers that may be present. In this section, we will explore various cooking methods that can be used to transform your foraged finds into delicious and nutritious meals. 4.2.1 Boiling. Boiling is one of the simplest and most common cooking methods for wild plants. It involves submerging the plants in a pot of boiling water until they become tender. This method works well for leafy greens, shoots, and certain root vegetables. To boil wild plants, follow these steps. Clean the plants thoroughly by rinsing them under cold water. Cut the plants into smaller, manageable pieces. Bring a pot of water to a boil and add a pinch of salt. Carefully add the plants to the boiling water and cook until tender, usually for about 5 to 10 minutes. Drain the cooked plants and serve as a side dish or incorporate them into other recipes. Boiling is a versatile cooking method that can be used for a wide range of wild plants, including dandelion greens, nettles, and wild asparagus. It helps to remove any bitterness and makes the plants more palatable. 4.2.2 Steaming. Steaming is another gentle cooking method that helps to retain the natural flavors and nutrients of wild plants. It involves cooking the plants using steam instead of direct contact with water. To steam wild plants, follow these steps. Clean the plants thoroughly by rinsing them under cold water. Cut the plants into smaller, manageable pieces. Fill a pot with a few inches of water and bring it to a boil. Place a steamer basket or a colander over the pot, making sure it doesn't touch the water. Add the plants to the steamer basket, cover with a lid, and steam for about 5 to 10 minutes or until tender. Remove the steamed plants from the basket and serve as a side dish or incorporate them into other recipes. Steaming is an excellent cooking method for delicate wild plants such as fiddlehead ferns, wild garlic, and young plantain leaves. It helps to preserve their vibrant colors and textures while ensuring they are cooked evenly. 4.2.3 Sautéing. Sautéing is a quick and flavorful cooking method that involves cooking the plants in a small amount of fat over high heat. This method works well for tender greens, shoots, and mushrooms. To sauté wild plants, follow these steps. Clean the plants thoroughly by rinsing them under cold water. Cut the plants into smaller, manageable pieces. Heat a skillet or a frying pan over medium-high heat and add a small amount of oil or butter. Add the plants to the hot pan and cook, stirring frequently, for about 3 to 5 minutes or until they become wilted and slightly browned. Season with salt, pepper, and any other desired herbs or spices. Remove from heat and serve as a side dish or incorporate them into other recipes. Sautéing adds a delicious caramelized flavor to wild plants and works particularly well for greens like lamb's quarters, purslane, and wild spinach. It is a versatile cooking method that allows you to experiment with different flavors and seasonings. 4.2.4 Grilling. Grilling is a popular cooking method that adds a smoky and charred flavor to wild plants. It works best for sturdier plants like root vegetables, asparagus, and mushrooms. To grill wild plants, follow these steps. Clean the plants thoroughly by rinsing them under cold water. Cut the plants into larger pieces or leave them whole, depending on their size. Preheat the grill to medium-high heat. Brush the plants with a little oil and season with salt, pepper, and any desired herbs or spices. Place the plants directly on the grill grates and cook for a few minutes on each side until they are tender and have grill marks. Remove from the grill and serve as a side dish or incorporate them into other recipes. Grilling wild plants adds a unique smoky flavor and a delightful charred texture. It is a great way to enjoy the natural flavors of plants like wild onions, cattail shoots, and wild mushrooms. 4.2.5 Baking and Roasting. Baking and roasting are dry heat cooking methods that work well for larger or denser wild plants like tubers, squashes, and nuts. These methods help to concentrate the flavors and create a delicious caramelized exterior. To bake or roast wild plants, follow these steps. Clean the plants thoroughly by rinsing them under cold water. Cut the plants into smaller, manageable pieces or leave them whole, depending on their size. Preheat the oven to the desired temperature. Place the plants on a baking sheet or in a roasting pan. Drizzle with oil and season with salt, pepper, and any desired herbs or spices. Bake or roast the plants in the oven until they are tender and golden brown, usually for about 20 to 30 minutes. Remove from the oven and serve as a side dish or incorporate them into other recipes. Baking and roasting bring out the natural sweetness of wild plants and create a satisfying texture. They are ideal for cooking plants like wild carrots, acorns, and roasted chestnuts. Experimenting with different cooking methods allows you to explore the diverse flavors and textures of wild plants. Whether you choose to boil, steam, sauté, grill, or bake them, the key is to treat these plants with care and respect, allowing their natural qualities to shine through in your culinary creations. 4.3 Preserving and Storing Foraged Foods. Preserving and storing foraged foods is an essential skill for any forager. It allows you to enjoy the flavors and nutritional benefits of wild plants long after the foraging season has ended. Proper preservation techniques can also help you minimize waste and make the most of your foraged finds. In this section, we will explore various methods of preserving and storing wild plants to ensure their freshness and quality. 4.3.1 Drying. Drying is one of the oldest and simplest methods of preserving foraged foods. It involves removing moisture from the plants, which helps to inhibit the growth of bacteria and molds. Dried plants can be stored for an extended period without losing their flavor or nutritional value. To dry wild plants, start by harvesting them at their peak freshness. Choose plants that are free from any signs of damage or disease. Remove any dirt or insects by gently washing the plants and patting them dry with a clean towel. There are several methods you can use to dry wild plants. One common method is air drying, where you hang the plants upside down in a well-ventilated area away from direct sunlight. This allows the plants to dry naturally over time. Another option is to use a food dehydrator, which provides controlled heat and airflow to speed up the drying process. Once the plants are completely dry, store them in airtight containers such as glass jars or resealable bags. Make sure to label the containers with the name of the plant and the date of drying. Store the dried plants in a cool, dark place to maintain their quality. 4.3.2 Freezing. Freezing is another effective method of preserving foraged foods. It helps to retain the freshness, flavor, and nutritional value of the plants. Freezing is particularly useful for delicate plants that may lose their texture or color when dried. To freeze wild plants, start by cleaning and washing them thoroughly. Blanching is often recommended before freezing to help preserve the color and texture of the plants. Blanching involves briefly immersing the plants in boiling water, followed by immediate cooling in ice water. This process helps to deactivate enzymes that can cause the plants to deteriorate. After blanching, drain the plants well and pat them dry. Place them in a single layer on a baking sheet and freeze them for a few hours until they are firm. Once frozen, transfer the plants to airtight containers or freezer bags. Make sure to remove as much air as possible from the containers to prevent freezer burn. When using frozen wild plants, thaw them in the refrigerator overnight or use them directly in cooked dishes without thawing. Freezing may alter the texture of some plants, so they are best used in recipes where texture is not crucial, such as soups, stews, and sauces. 4.3.3 Fermenting. Fermenting is a traditional preservation method that not only extends the shelf life of wild plants but also enhances their flavor and nutritional value. Fermentation involves the breakdown of sugars and carbohydrates in the plants by beneficial bacteria, resulting in the production of lactic acid and other compounds that act as natural preservatives. To ferment wild plants, start by cleaning and washing them thoroughly. Remove any damaged or wilted parts. Chop or shred the plants into small pieces to facilitate the fermentation process. Place the plants in a clean glass jar and add a brine solution made of water and salt. The brine should cover the plants completely. Cover the jar with a clean cloth or a fermentation lid to allow gases to escape while preventing contaminants from entering. Place the jar in a cool, dark place and let it ferment for several days to weeks, depending on the desired flavor and texture. The fermentation process can be monitored by observing the development of bubbles and the sour aroma. Once the fermentation is complete, transfer the jar to the refrigerator to slow down the fermentation process. Fermented wild plants can be enjoyed as a condiment, added to salads, or used in various recipes. They can be stored in the refrigerator for several months. 4.3.4 Pickling. Pickling is another popular method of preserving wild plants. It involves immersing the plants in a solution of vinegar, water, salt, and spices, which helps to create an acidic environment that inhibits the growth of bacteria and molds. Pickled wild plants not only have a longer shelf life but also develop a tangy and flavorful taste. To pickle wild plants, start by cleaning and washing them thoroughly. Remove any damaged or wilted parts. Cut the plants into desired sizes or leave them whole, depending on your preference. Prepare a pickling solution by combining vinegar, water, salt, and spices in a saucepan. Bring the solution to a boil and let it simmer for a few minutes. Place the plants in clean glass jars and pour the hot pickling solution over them, ensuring that the plants are completely submerged. Seal the jars tightly and let them cool to room temperature. Once cooled, store the jars in the refrigerator for at least a week to allow the flavors to develop. Pickled wild plants can be enjoyed as a condiment, added to sandwiches or salads, or used as a flavorful ingredient in various dishes. They can be stored in the refrigerator for several months. 4.3.5 Canning. Canning is a more involved method of preserving foraged foods but allows for long-term storage without the need for refrigeration. It involves sealing the plants in airtight jars and subjecting them to heat to destroy any microorganisms that could cause spoilage. To can wild plants, start by cleaning and washing them thoroughly. Remove any damaged or wilted parts. Prepare a canning solution by combining water and vinegar or lemon juice to ensure the proper acidity level. Place the plants in clean glass jars and pour the canning solution over them, leaving a headspace at the top. Seal the jars with canning lids and process them in a boiling water bath or pressure canner, depending on the acidity level of the plants. Follow the recommended processing time and temperature for the specific plant you are canning. Once the jars are processed, remove them from the canner and let them cool to room temperature. Check the seals to ensure they are tight and store the jars in a cool, dark place. Canned wild plants can be stored for up to a year or even longer if properly processed and stored. They can be enjoyed as a standalone side dish or used in various recipes. Preserving and storing foraged foods allows you to enjoy the flavors and nutritional benefits of wild plants throughout the year. Whether you choose to dry, freeze, ferment, pickle, or can, each method offers a unique way to preserve the bounty of nature. Experiment with different techniques and find the ones that suit your taste and lifestyle. Remember to always follow proper food safety guidelines to ensure the quality and safety of your preserved wild plants. 4.4 Recipes and Culinary Uses. Foraging for edible wild plants opens up a world of culinary possibilities. The flavors and textures of these plants can add a unique and exciting twist to your meals. In this section, we will explore some delicious recipes and culinary uses for the wild plants you have foraged. 4.4.1 Wild Salad. One of the simplest and most refreshing ways to enjoy foraged wild plants is by incorporating them into a salad. Start by gathering a variety of edible leaves such as dandelion greens, chickweed, and wild lettuce. Wash them thoroughly and pat them dry. Toss the leaves with a light vinaigrette made from olive oil, lemon juice, salt, and pepper. You can also add some edible flowers like violets or nasturtiums for a pop of color and flavor. This wild salad is not only delicious but also packed with nutrients. 4.4.2 Nettle Soup. Nettles are a common wild plant that can be found in many regions. While they may sting when touched, they are perfectly safe to eat once cooked. To make nettle soup, start by wearing gloves and carefully harvesting the young nettle leaves. Rinse them thoroughly to remove any dirt or insects. In a pot, sauté some onions and garlic in olive oil until they become translucent. Add the nettle leaves and vegetable broth, and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. Blend the mixture until smooth, and season with salt, pepper, and a squeeze of lemon juice. This nourishing soup is not only tasty but also rich in vitamins and minerals. 4.4.3 Wild Herb Pesto. Pesto is a versatile sauce that can be used in various dishes. Instead of using traditional basil, try making a wild herb pesto using foraged plants like wild garlic, sorrel, and wild fennel. Simply blend the herbs with some garlic, pine nuts, Parmesan cheese, and olive oil until you achieve a smooth consistency. This flavorful pesto can be used as a spread on bread, tossed with pasta, or drizzled over roasted vegetables. 4.4.4 Stuffed wild mushrooms. If you have successfully foraged some wild mushrooms, why not turn them into a delicious appetizer? Clean the mushrooms and remove the stems. In a separate bowl, mix together breadcrumbs, grated cheese, chopped herbs like thyme or parsley, and a little olive oil. Stuff the mushroom caps with the breadcrumb mixture and bake them in the oven until golden and crispy. These stuffed wild mushrooms are a delightful treat that will impress your guests. 4.4.5 Wild berry jam. Foraging for wild berries is a popular activity, and one of the best ways to preserve their flavors is by making jam. Gather a variety of wild berries such as blackberries, raspberries, and elderberries. Wash them thoroughly and remove any stems or leaves. In a large pot, combine the berries with sugar and a squeeze of lemon juice. Cook the mixture over low heat, stirring occasionally, until it thickens to a jam-like consistency. Pour the jam into sterilized jars and let it cool before sealing. This homemade wild berry jam is perfect for spreading on toast or adding a burst of flavor to your favorite desserts. 4.4.6 Wild herb infused oil. Infusing oil with wild herbs is a simple way to add a unique flavor to your dishes. Gather aromatic herbs like rosemary, thyme, or sage from your foraging expeditions. Wash and dry the herbs thoroughly to remove any dirt or moisture. Place the herbs in a clean glass jar and cover them with a neutral oil like olive or sunflower oil. Seal the jar and let it sit in a cool, dark place for a few weeks to allow the flavors to infuse. Strain the oil and transfer it to a clean bottle. This wild herb infused oil can be used for cooking, drizzling over salads, or as a flavorful dip for bread. These are just a few examples of the many culinary uses for foraged wild plants. Experiment with different combinations and techniques to create your own unique dishes. Remember to always properly identify the plants you forage and ensure they are safe for consumption. Enjoy the adventure of exploring the flavors of the wild and let your creativity flourish in the kitchen. 5. Nutritional value of edible wild plants. 5.1 Health benefits of foraged foods. Foraging for wild plants not only provides a connection to nature and a sense of adventure, but it also offers numerous health benefits. Wild plants are often packed with essential nutrients, antioxidants, and medicinal properties that can contribute to overall well-being. In this section, we will explore the various health benefits of foraged foods and how they can enhance our diet and promote good health. 5.1.1 Nutrient-rich foods. Wild plants are a treasure trove of nutrients. They are often more nutrient-dense than their cultivated counterparts, as they grow in their natural habitats without the use of pesticides or fertilizers. Foraged foods are rich in vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals that are essential for our body's optimal functioning. Many wild plants are excellent sources of vitamins A, C, and E, which are powerful antioxidants that help protect our cells from damage caused by free radicals. These vitamins also support a healthy immune system, promote skin health, and contribute to good vision. Wild plants are also abundant in minerals such as calcium, magnesium, potassium, and iron. These minerals are vital for maintaining strong bones, regulating blood pressure, supporting muscle function, and preventing anemia. 5.1.2 Antioxidant powerhouses. One of the remarkable benefits of foraged foods is their high antioxidant content. Antioxidants are compounds that help neutralize harmful free radicals in our bodies, reducing the risk of chronic diseases and promoting overall health. Wild plants are known to be rich in antioxidants such as flavonoids, carotenoids, and polyphenols. These compounds have been linked to a reduced risk of heart disease, certain types of cancer, and age-related macular degeneration. 5.1.3 Anti-inflammatory properties. Chronic inflammation is a common underlying factor in many diseases, including heart disease, diabetes, and certain types of cancer. Foraged foods often possess anti-inflammatory properties that can help combat inflammation and promote better health. Many wild plants contain bioactive compounds that have been shown to reduce inflammation in the body. For example, stinging nettle, a commonly foraged plant, has been used for centuries to alleviate symptoms of arthritis and other inflammatory conditions. 5.1.4 Digestive health. Foraged foods can also contribute to a healthy digestive system. Many wild plants are rich in dietary fiber, which is essential for maintaining regular bowel movements and preventing constipation. Fiber also acts as a prebiotic, providing nourishment for beneficial gut bacteria and promoting a healthy gut microbiome. Certain wild plants, such as dandelion and burdock root, have traditionally been used to support liver and gallbladder health. These plants contain compounds that stimulate bile production, aiding in the digestion and absorption of fats. 5.1.5 Weight management. Incorporating foraged foods into your diet can also support weight management efforts. Wild plants are often low in calories and high in fiber, making them a satisfying addition to meals without adding excessive calories. Furthermore, many wild plants have natural diuretic properties, which can help reduce water retention and bloating. This can contribute to a feeling of lightness and aid in weight loss efforts. 5.1.6 Mental well-being. Foraging for wild plants not only benefits our physical health but also has positive effects on our mental well-being. Spending time in nature and engaging in the process of foraging can reduce stress, improve mood, and increase feelings of relaxation and happiness. Studies have shown that being in natural environments can lower cortisol levels, the hormone associated with stress. Foraging also encourages mindfulness and a sense of connection to the natural world, which can promote mental clarity and a sense of purpose. 5.1.7 Variety and culinary exploration. Foraged foods offer a wide range of flavors, textures, and culinary possibilities. Incorporating wild plants into your diet can add variety to your meals and expand your culinary repertoire. Experimenting with different foraged foods can be a fun and creative way to enhance your cooking skills and discover new flavors. By diversifying your diet with wild plants, you can also benefit from a wider range of nutrients and phytochemicals that may not be as abundant in cultivated foods. This variety can contribute to a well-rounded and balanced diet. In conclusion, foraged foods provide a plethora of health benefits. From their nutrient-rich profiles to their antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, wild plants can enhance our diet and promote overall well-being. Incorporating foraged foods into our meals not only supports physical health but also contributes to mental well-being and culinary exploration. So, grab your basket and venture into the wild to experience the health benefits and delicious flavors of foraged foods. 5.2 Nutritional profiles of common edible plants. When it comes to foraging for wild plants, one of the key factors to consider is their nutritional value. Understanding the nutritional profiles of common edible plants can help you make informed decisions about incorporating them into your diet. In this section, we will explore the nutritional benefits of some widely available wild plants. 5.2.1 Dandelion, Taraxacum officinale. Dandelions are often considered a pesky weed in lawns, but they are actually highly nutritious. The leaves, flowers, and roots of dandelions are all edible and offer various health benefits. Dandelion leaves are rich in vitamins A, C, and K, as well as calcium, iron, and potassium. They are also a good source of antioxidants and can support liver health. 5.2.2 Nettles, Urtica dioica. Nettles are another common wild plant that is packed with nutrients. The leaves of nettles are high in vitamins A, C, and K, as well as iron, calcium, and magnesium. They are also a good source of protein and fiber. Nettles have been used for centuries in traditional medicine for their anti-inflammatory properties and may help alleviate allergies and joint pain. 5.2.3 Wild garlic, Allium vinale. Wild garlic, also known as field garlic or crow garlic, is a flavorful plant that can be found in woodlands and meadows. It is closely related to cultivated garlic and shares many of its health benefits. Wild garlic is rich in vitamins A and C, as well as minerals like manganese and sulfur. It also contains compounds that have antimicrobial and immune-boosting properties. 5.2.4 Chickweed, Stellaria media. Chickweed is a delicate plant with small, star-shaped flowers that can be found in gardens and open fields. It is a good source of vitamins A, C, and B complex, as well as minerals like calcium, magnesium, and potassium. Chickweed is known for its cooling and soothing properties and has been used in traditional medicine to relieve skin irritations and digestive issues. 5.2.5 Purslane, Portulaca oleracea. Purslane is a succulent plant that is often considered a weed but is highly nutritious. It is rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are beneficial for heart health. Purslane also contains vitamins A, C, and E, as well as minerals like magnesium, calcium, and potassium. It has a slightly tangy flavor and can be enjoyed raw in salads or cooked in various dishes. 5.2.6 Wild berries, various species. Wild berries, such as blackberries, raspberries, and blueberries, are not only delicious but also packed with antioxidants and vitamins. They are a good source of vitamin C and dietary fiber. Wild berries are known for their immune-boosting properties and may help reduce the risk of chronic diseases, such as heart disease and certain types of cancer. 5.2.7 Wild mushrooms, various species. Wild mushrooms offer a unique combination of flavors and textures, and many of them are highly nutritious. They are low in calories and fat but rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Mushrooms are a good source of B vitamins, potassium, and selenium. They also contain compounds that may support immune function and have anti-inflammatory properties. 5.2.8 Wild greens, various species. Wild greens, such as dandelion greens, lamb's quarters, and plantain, are often more nutrient-dense than their cultivated counterparts. They are rich in vitamins A, C, and K, as well as minerals like calcium, iron, and magnesium. Wild greens are also a good source of dietary fiber and antioxidants. Incorporating them into your diet can help boost your overall nutrient intake. 5.2.9 Wild nuts and seeds, various species. Wild nuts and seeds, such as acorns, chestnuts, and sunflower seeds, are not only delicious but also provide a good source of healthy fats, protein, and fiber. They are rich in vitamins and minerals, including vitamin E, magnesium, and zinc. Wild nuts and seeds can be enjoyed as a snack or used in various recipes to add flavor and texture. It is important to note that the nutritional profiles of wild plants can vary depending on factors such as soil quality, growing conditions, and seasonal variations. It is always recommended to properly identify and gather wild plants, ensuring they are free from contamination and grown in safe environments. Additionally, if you have any specific dietary concerns or health conditions, it is advisable to consult with a healthcare professional before incorporating wild plants into your diet. 5.3 Incorporating wild plants into a balanced diet. Incorporating wild plants into a balanced diet can be a wonderful way to enhance your culinary experiences and improve your overall health. Wild plants offer a wide range of flavors, textures, and nutritional benefits that can complement and diversify your meals. By incorporating these plants into your diet, you can tap into the abundance of nature and discover new tastes and textures that you may not find in traditional cultivated foods. 5.3.1 The benefits of including wild plants in your diet. Including wild plants in your diet can provide numerous benefits for your health and well-being. These plants are often rich in essential nutrients, including vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. They can also offer unique phytochemicals that have been shown to have various health-promoting properties. One of the key benefits of incorporating wild plants into your diet is their high nutrient density. Many wild plants are packed with vitamins and minerals, often in higher concentrations than their cultivated counterparts. For example, wild greens such as dandelion greens and purslane are excellent sources of vitamins A, C, and K, as well as minerals like calcium and iron. Wild plants also tend to be lower in calories and higher in fiber compared to many cultivated foods. This can be beneficial for weight management and digestive health. The fiber content in wild plants can help regulate blood sugar levels, promote satiety, and support a healthy gut microbiome. Another advantage of including wild plants in your diet is their diverse array of flavors. Wild plants can add unique tastes and textures to your meals, making them more exciting and enjoyable. From the peppery bite of watercress to the earthy sweetness of wild mushrooms, these plants can elevate the flavors of your dishes and provide a culinary adventure. 5.3.2 Selecting and preparing wild plants for consumption. When incorporating wild plants into your diet, it is crucial to ensure that you are selecting and preparing them safely. Here are some guidelines to follow. Proper identification. Before consuming any wild plant, it is essential to correctly identify it. Use reliable field guides or consult with experienced foragers to ensure you are harvesting the correct plant and avoiding any poisonous lookalikes. Harvesting practices. When harvesting wild plants, be mindful of sustainable foraging practices. Only take what you need and avoid overharvesting to allow the plants to regenerate. Harvest from areas free of pollution and avoid plants growing near roadsides or contaminated areas. Cleaning and washing. Once you have harvested your wild plants, it is crucial to clean them thoroughly. Remove any dirt, insects, or debris by gently rinsing them under cool running water. Inspect the plants carefully to ensure there are no signs of spoilage or contamination. Cooking methods. Some wild plants may contain natural toxins or be difficult to digest when consumed raw. Cooking can help neutralize these toxins and improve the digestibility of certain plants. Experiment with different cooking methods such as sautéing, steaming, or blanching to enhance the flavors and textures of wild plants. Balancing flavors. When incorporating wild plants into your meals, consider balancing their flavors with other ingredients. Wild plants can have strong or bitter flavors, so pairing them with milder ingredients can create a harmonious balance. For example, mix wild greens with a variety of other vegetables or combine wild mushrooms with herbs and spices to create a delicious dish. 5.3.3 Creative ways to use wild plants in your meals. Once you have selected and prepared your wild plants, it's time to get creative in the kitchen. Here are some ideas for incorporating wild plants into your meals. Salads and side dishes. Add a variety of wild greens, such as chickweed, lamb's quarters, or wild lettuce, to your salads for a burst of freshness and flavor. You can also sauté or steam wild greens as a nutritious side dish. Soups and stews. Enhance the flavors of your soups and stews by adding wild mushrooms, such as morels or chanterelles. These mushrooms can add a rich, earthy taste to your dishes. Herbal infusions. Use wild herbs like nettle, mint, or lemon balm to make refreshing herbal infusions. Simply steep the herbs in hot water for a few minutes and enjoy their aromatic flavors. Wild fruit jams. Forage for wild berries like blackberries, raspberries, or elderberries and use them to make delicious homemade jams. These jams can be enjoyed on toast, in yogurt, or as a topping for desserts. Wild plant pesto. Create a unique pesto by substituting traditional basil with wild greens like garlic mustard or wild ramps. Blend the greens with nuts, garlic, olive oil, and Parmesan cheese for a flavorful sauce. Baking with wild plants. Incorporate wild plants into your baked goods by adding ingredients like wild berries, edible flowers, or ground nuts. These additions can provide a delightful twist to your favorite recipes. Remember to start with small quantities of wild plants and gradually increase your consumption as you become more familiar with their flavors and effects on your body. It's also important to listen to your body and consult with a healthcare professional if you have any specific dietary concerns or medical conditions. By incorporating wild plants into your balanced diet, you can expand your culinary horizons, boost your nutrient intake, and connect more deeply with the natural world around you. Enjoy the adventure of foraging and the delicious rewards it brings to your table. 6. Foraging in different environments. 6.1 Foraging in forests and woodlands. Forests and woodlands are rich ecosystems that offer a wide variety of edible plants for foragers. From vibrant berries to nutritious greens, these environments provide an abundance of wild food waiting to be discovered. In this section, we will explore the techniques and considerations for successful foraging in forests and woodlands. 6.1.1 Understanding forest ecosystems. Before venturing into the forest, it is essential to understand the ecosystem you are entering. Forests are complex and diverse, consisting of different layers such as the canopy, understory, and forest floor. Each layer supports a unique set of plants, and knowing where to look will greatly enhance your foraging experience. The canopy, composed of tall trees, provides shade and shelter for the forest. While it may be challenging to find edible plants in this layer, it is worth keeping an eye out for fruits and nuts that may fall to the forest floor. The understory, consisting of smaller trees and shrubs, is where you are more likely to find edible plants such as berries and leafy greens. Finally, the forest floor is home to a variety of mushrooms, roots, and tubers. 6.1.2 Identifying edible plants in forests. When foraging in forests and woodlands, it is crucial to have a good understanding of plant identification. Knowing how to differentiate between edible plants and their poisonous lookalikes is essential for your safety. Take the time to familiarize yourself with the common edible plants in your region and learn to recognize their distinct features. Some common edible plants found in forests include 6.1.2.1 Berries and fruits. Forests are abundant with delicious berries and fruits. Look for wild strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, and blueberries. These fruits are not only tasty but also packed with essential vitamins and antioxidants. Be cautious when foraging for berries, as some may have toxic lookalikes. Always double-check your identification before consuming any wild berries. 6.1.2.2 Leafy greens. The forest understory is a treasure trove of edible leafy greens. Nettles, dandelion greens, and wild garlic are just a few examples of the nutritious greens you can find. These plants are often rich in vitamins and minerals and can be used in salads, soups, or sautéed as a side dish. Remember to harvest only the young and tender leaves, as older leaves can be tough and bitter. 6.1.2.3 Mushrooms. Mushrooms are a fascinating and diverse group of organisms found in forests. However, caution must be exercised when foraging for mushrooms, as some species can be highly toxic. It is essential to have a thorough knowledge of mushroom identification or seek guidance from an experienced forager or mycologist. Only collect and consume mushrooms that you can positively identify as edible. 6.1.2.4 Nuts and seeds. Forests are home to a variety of nuts and seeds that provide a valuable source of protein and healthy fats. Look for acorns, chestnuts, walnuts, and hazelnuts. Nuts can be eaten raw or roasted, and they can also be ground into flour for baking. Remember to collect nuts that are free from mold or signs of damage. 6.1.3 Sustainable foraging practices in forests. When foraging in forests and woodlands, it is crucial to practice sustainable harvesting techniques to ensure the long-term health of the ecosystem. Here are some guidelines to follow. 6.1.3.1 Harvest responsibly. Only take what you need and avoid overharvesting. Leave behind enough plants to allow for natural regeneration and to provide food for wildlife. 6.1.3.2 Respect wildlife and habitat. Be mindful of the impact you have on the forest and its inhabitants. Avoid damaging plants or disturbing wildlife while foraging. Remember that you are a guest in their home. 6.1.3.3 Leave no trace. Take care to leave the forest as you found it. Dispose of any waste properly and avoid leaving any trace of your presence. This includes not trampling on delicate plants or disturbing the forest floor unnecessarily. 6.1.3.4 Learn and share. Continuously educate yourself about the plants and ecosystems you encounter. Share your knowledge with others and encourage responsible foraging practices within your community. 6.1.4 Safety considerations for forest foraging. While foraging in forests and woodlands can be a rewarding experience, it is essential to prioritize your safety. Here are some safety considerations to keep in mind. 6.1.4.1 Proper identification. Always be certain of the plants you are harvesting. Misidentification can have serious consequences. If you are unsure, consult a reliable field guide or seek guidance from an experienced forager. 6.1.4.2 Avoid toxic plants. Familiarize yourself with the poisonous plants that grow in your region. Learn to recognize their characteristics and avoid them at all costs. 6.1.4.3 Wear protective gear. When foraging in forests, it is advisable to wear appropriate clothing, including long sleeves, pants, and sturdy footwear. This will protect you from thorns, stinging nettles, and other potential hazards. 6.1.4.4 Tick awareness. Ticks are common in forested areas and can transmit diseases. Take precautions by wearing insect repellent, tucking your pants into your socks, and performing regular tick checks. 6.1.4.5 Be mindful of allergies. Some individuals may have allergies to certain plants or fungi. If you have known allergies, exercise caution and avoid any potential triggers. Foraging in forests and woodlands can be a delightful and fulfilling experience. By understanding the ecosystem, identifying edible plants, practicing sustainable techniques, and prioritizing safety, you can embark on a successful foraging journey in these natural havens. Remember to always respect the environment and leave it as you found it, ensuring that future generations can also enjoy the bounties of the forest. 6.2 Foraging in meadows and grasslands. Meadows and grasslands are diverse ecosystems that offer a wide variety of edible plants for foragers. These open areas are often abundant with nutritious and flavorful wild plants that can be harvested and incorporated into delicious meals. In this section, we will explore the different types of edible plants that can be found in meadows and grasslands, as well as some foraging techniques specific to these environments. 6.2.1 Identifying edible plants in meadows and grasslands. When foraging in meadows and grasslands, it is important to familiarize yourself with the various edible plants that grow in these habitats. Here are some common edible plants that can be found in meadows and grasslands. 6.2.1.1 Dandelion, Taraxacum officinale. Dandelions are one of the most recognizable wild plants, with their bright yellow flowers and distinctive seed heads. The entire plant is edible, from the leaves to the flowers and roots. Dandelion leaves can be used in salads or cooked as greens, while the flowers can be used to make dandelion wine or infused into oils. The roots can be roasted and used as a coffee substitute. 6.2.1.2 Plantain, Plantago spp. Plantain is a common weed that can be found in meadows and grasslands. The leaves of plantain are edible and can be eaten raw in salads or cooked as greens. They have a slightly bitter taste and are rich in vitamins A and C. Plantain leaves can also be used as a poultice for insect bites and minor wounds due to their soothing properties. 6.2.1.3 Clover, Trifolium spp. Clover is a flowering plant that is often found in meadows and grasslands. The leaves and flowers of clover are edible and can be added to salads or used as a garnish. Clover has a mild, slightly sweet taste and is a good source of vitamins and minerals. It can also be dried and used to make herbal teas. 6.2.1.4 Wild onion, Allium spp. Wild onions, also known as wild garlic or field garlic, can be found in meadows and grasslands. These plants have long, slender leaves and small white or pink flowers. The bulbs, leaves, and flowers of wild onions are all edible and have a strong onion flavor. They can be used in a variety of dishes, including soups, stir-fries, and salads. 6.2.1.5 Nettles, Urtica spp. Nettles are a common plant in meadows and grasslands, known for their stinging hairs. While they may cause temporary discomfort when touched, nettles are highly nutritious and can be harvested for their leaves. Nettle leaves can be cooked and used in soups, stews, or as a substitute for spinach. They are rich in vitamins A and C, as well as iron and calcium. 6.2.2 Foraging techniques in meadows and grasslands. Foraging in meadows and grasslands requires some specific techniques to ensure a successful and sustainable harvest. Here are some tips to keep in mind when foraging in these environments. 6.2.2.1 Observation and identification. Before harvesting any plants, take the time to observe and identify them accurately. Use field guides or consult with experienced foragers to ensure you are harvesting the correct plants. Pay attention to the characteristics of the plants, such as leaf shape, flower color, and growth pattern, to help with identification. 6.2.2.2 Harvesting methods. When harvesting plants in meadows and grasslands, it is important to do so in a sustainable manner. Avoid over-harvesting by only taking what you need and leaving enough plants behind to ensure their survival. Use scissors or a sharp knife to cut the plants at the base, taking care not to damage the surrounding vegetation. 6.2.2.3 Timing and seasonality. Different plants have different growing seasons, so it is important to be aware of when certain plants are at their peak. Harvesting plants at the right time ensures optimal flavor and nutritional value. Keep track of the seasonal variations in meadows and grasslands and plan your foraging trips accordingly. 6.2.2.4 Safety precautions. While meadows and grasslands are generally safe environments for foraging, it is still important to take precautions. Be aware of any potential hazards, such as poisonous plants or insect nests. Wear appropriate clothing and protective gear, such as gloves, to avoid contact with irritants or thorns. 6.2.2.5 Leave no trace. When foraging in meadows and grasslands, it is crucial to practice leave no trace principles. Respect the environment by minimizing your impact and leaving the area as you found it. Avoid trampling on vegetation and be mindful of any wildlife or nesting birds that may be present. By following these foraging techniques, you can enjoy the abundance of edible plants that meadows and grasslands have to offer. Remember to always forage responsibly and sustainably, ensuring the long-term health of these ecosystems for future generations. Happy foraging! 6.3 Foraging in coastal areas. Coastal areas offer a unique and diverse range of edible plants that can be foraged and incorporated into delicious meals. From salty sea vegetables to succulent coastal berries, these coastal environments provide a bountiful array of wild edibles for those who know where to look. In this section, we will explore the various types of edible plants that can be found in coastal areas, as well as some tips and techniques for foraging in these environments. 6.3.1 Seaweeds and sea vegetables. One of the most abundant and nutritious types of edible plants found in coastal areas are seaweeds and sea vegetables. These marine plants are rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, making them a valuable addition to any forager's diet. Seaweeds come in various forms, including kelp, dulse, nori, and wakame, each with its own unique flavor and texture. When foraging for seaweeds, it is important to choose healthy and vibrant specimens. Look for seaweeds that are attached to rocks or other substrates, as these are likely to be fresh and free from contamination. Harvesting seaweeds can be as simple as gently pulling them off the rocks or cutting them with a sharp knife, being careful not to damage the plant or its surrounding environment. Once harvested, seaweeds can be used in a variety of culinary preparations. They can be dried and ground into a powder to be used as a seasoning or added to soups and stews for a rich umami flavor. Seaweeds can also be used fresh in salads, stir-fries, or even made into sushi rolls. The possibilities are endless, and experimenting with different seaweed recipes can lead to delightful and nutritious meals. 6.3.2 Coastal berries and fruits. Coastal areas are also home to a wide range of delicious and nutritious berries and fruits. These fruits are often adapted to the harsh coastal environment, resulting in unique flavors and textures. Some common coastal berries include sea buckthorn, beach plums, and cranberries. When foraging for coastal berries and fruits, it is important to be mindful of the environment and the plants themselves. Only harvest ripe berries and fruits, leaving unripe ones to continue growing and providing food for wildlife. Be sure to also leave enough for others to enjoy and for the plants to regenerate for future seasons. Coastal berries and fruits can be enjoyed fresh, added to salads, or used in a variety of culinary preparations. They can be made into jams, jellies, pies, or even infused into vinegar or spirits for a unique twist. The tartness of coastal berries pairs well with sweet dishes, and their vibrant colors add a pop of flavor and visual appeal to any meal. 6.3.3 Edible coastal plants. In addition to seaweeds and berries, there are several other edible plants that can be found in coastal areas. These plants have adapted to the salty and sandy conditions of the coast and offer unique flavors and textures. Some examples of edible coastal plants include beach peas, sea rocket, and samphire. Beach peas are legumes that grow in sandy coastal areas. They have a sweet and nutty flavor and can be eaten raw or cooked. Sea rocket is a leafy green with a peppery taste, similar to arugula. It can be used in salads, sandwiches, or sautéed as a side dish. Samphire, also known as sea asparagus or sea beans, is a succulent plant that grows in salt marshes. It has a salty and crisp texture, making it a great addition to salads or stir-fries. When foraging for edible coastal plants, it is important to be aware of any regulations or restrictions in the area. Some coastal areas may have protected plant species or specific guidelines for foraging. Always respect the environment and only harvest what you need, leaving enough for the plants to continue growing and providing food for wildlife. 6.3.4 Foraging tips for coastal areas. Foraging in coastal areas can be a rewarding and enjoyable experience. However, it is important to keep a few tips in mind to ensure a safe and sustainable foraging practice. Research and educate yourself about the plants in the area before foraging. Familiarize yourself with their appearance, habitat, and any potential lookalikes or poisonous plants. Be mindful of the tides and weather conditions. Plan your foraging trips during low tide and check the weather forecast to ensure safe and comfortable foraging conditions. Respect the environment and the plants. Only harvest what you need and leave enough for the plants to regenerate and provide food for wildlife. Be aware of any regulations or restrictions in the area. Some coastal areas may have protected plant species or specific guidelines for foraging. Always follow these regulations to ensure the sustainability of the ecosystem. Practice sustainable foraging techniques. Avoid damaging the plants or their surrounding environment while harvesting. Use sharp and clean tools to minimize any impact on the plants. Wash and clean the foraged plants thoroughly before consuming them. Coastal plants may be exposed to saltwater, sand, or other contaminants, so it is important to remove any dirt or debris before cooking or eating. By following these tips and guidelines, you can enjoy the abundance of edible plants that coastal areas have to offer while ensuring the sustainability and preservation of these unique ecosystems. Happy foraging! 6.4 Foraging in urban environments. Foraging in urban environments may seem like a daunting task, with concrete jungles and limited green spaces. However, even in the midst of bustling cities, there are opportunities to connect with nature and discover edible wild plants. Urban foraging allows us to tap into the abundance of nature that exists within our cities and provides a unique and sustainable way to supplement our diets. 6.4.1 Finding edible plants in urban areas. When foraging in urban environments, it's important to be mindful of the potential risks associated with pollution and contamination. It's crucial to choose locations that are free from pesticides, herbicides, and other harmful chemicals. Look for areas that are away from busy roads, industrial sites, and areas with heavy foot traffic. Parks, community gardens, and abandoned lots are often great places to start your urban foraging journey. These areas tend to have a diverse range of plant species, including edible ones. Take the time to observe and familiarize yourself with the plants in these spaces. Look for familiar wild plants such as dandelions, plantain, chickweed, and purslane, which are commonly found in urban areas. 6.4.2 Safety precautions for urban foraging. When foraging in urban environments, it's essential to prioritize safety. Here are some important safety precautions to keep in mind. Avoid contaminated areas. Stay away from plants growing near roadsides, industrial areas, and places where chemicals are likely to be present. Know your plants. Be confident in your plant identification skills. Take the time to learn about the edible plants in your area and how to differentiate them from toxic lookalikes. Avoid plants near pet waste. Be cautious when foraging near areas where pets frequent, as their waste can contaminate the soil and plants. Wash thoroughly. Before consuming any foraged plants, make sure to wash them thoroughly to remove any dirt, debris, or potential contaminants. Start small. When trying a new plant for the first time, it's best to start with a small portion to ensure you don't have any adverse reactions. 6.4.3 Edible plants in urban environments. Urban environments offer a surprising variety of edible plants that can be foraged. Here are a few examples. Dandelion, Taraxacum officinale, often considered a weed. Dandelion leaves, flowers, and roots are all edible. The leaves can be used in salads, while the flowers can be made into dandelion wine or used as a garnish. Chickweed, Stellaria media, this common weed has tender leaves that can be added to salads or used as a garnish. It has a mild, slightly sweet flavor. Lamb's quarters, Chenopodium album, also known as wild spinach. Lamb's quarters have nutritious leaves that can be cooked like spinach or added to soups and stews. Purslane, Portulaca oleracea. Purslane is a succulent plant with a slightly tangy flavor. Its leaves can be eaten raw in salads or cooked as a vegetable. Plantain, Plantago major, not to be confused with the banana-like fruit. Plantain leaves are edible and can be used in salads or cooked as a green vegetable. 6.4.4 Sustainable foraging in urban environments. Foraging in urban environments can be a sustainable practice when done responsibly. Here are some tips for sustainable urban foraging. Practice selective harvesting. Only take what you need and leave enough plants behind to ensure their survival and reproduction. Avoid overharvesting. Be mindful of the population size of the plants you are foraging. If a plant is scarce in a particular area, consider leaving it untouched to allow it to replenish. Respect private property. Always seek permission before foraging on private property or in community gardens. Respect any rules or guidelines set by the property owners or garden organizers. Spread awareness. Share your knowledge and passion for urban foraging with others. Encourage responsible foraging practices and educate others about the importance of sustainability. By foraging in urban environments, we can reconnect with nature, reduce our ecological footprint, and discover the hidden treasures that exist within our cities. Remember to always forage responsibly, prioritize safety, and respect the environment and the communities that call these urban spaces home. Happy foraging. 7. Foraging for specific plant types. 7.1 Foraging for berries and fruits. Foraging for berries and fruits is an exciting and rewarding activity that allows you to connect with nature and enjoy the delicious flavors of the wild. Berries and fruits are abundant in many different environments, from forests and meadows to coastal areas and even urban spaces. In this section, we will explore the various types of berries and fruits you can forage, as well as some tips for identifying, harvesting, and enjoying these natural treats. 7.1.1 Identifying edible berries and fruits. When foraging for berries and fruits, it is essential to be able to identify the edible ones from the potentially toxic ones. Here are some common edible berries and fruits you may encounter during your foraging adventures. 7.1.1.1 Wild strawberries, Fragaria spp. Wild strawberries are small, sweet, and packed with flavor. They can be found in woodlands, meadows, and even along the edges of paths. Wild strawberries have white flowers and small, bright red berries that are similar in appearance to cultivated strawberries. They are best enjoyed fresh and can be eaten on their own or used in various culinary creations. 7.1.1.2 Blackberries, Rubus spp. Blackberries are a popular choice for foragers due to their abundance and delicious taste. They grow on thorny bushes and can be found in a variety of habitats, including forests, meadows, and even urban areas. Blackberries have clusters of small, black, juicy berries that are perfect for eating fresh, making jams, or adding to desserts. 7.1.1.3 Raspberries, Rubus spp. Raspberries are another beloved wild fruit that can be found in similar habitats as blackberries. They have delicate, hollow stems and clusters of small, red berries that are sweet and slightly tart. Raspberries are versatile and can be enjoyed fresh, used in baking, or made into preserves. 7.1.1.4 Blueberries, Vaccinium spp. Blueberries are a true treasure of the wild. They grow on low shrubs in acidic soil, often in forests or meadows. Blueberries have small, round berries that range in color from blue to purple. They are bursting with antioxidants and can be eaten fresh, added to smoothies, or used in baking. 7.1.1.5 Elderberries, Sambucus spp. Elderberries are small, dark purple berries that grow in clusters on shrubs or small trees. They are commonly found in wet areas, such as along riverbanks or in damp woodlands. Elderberries have a tart flavor and are often used to make jams, jellies, and syrups. It is important to note that elderberries must be cooked before consuming, as the raw berries can cause digestive issues. 7.1.1.6 Huckleberries, Vaccinium spp. Huckleberries are similar to blueberries and grow on low shrubs in forests and mountainous regions. They have small, round berries that can range in color from red to purple to black. Huckleberries have a unique flavor that is both sweet and tart. They can be enjoyed fresh, used in baking, or made into preserves. 7.1.2 Harvesting berries and fruits. When harvesting berries and fruits, it is important to do so responsibly to ensure the sustainability of the plants and their ecosystems. Here are some tips for harvesting these delicious treats. Timing is key. Harvest berries and fruits when they are fully ripe for the best flavor and nutritional value. Different species have different ripening times, so it is essential to familiarize yourself with the specific plants you are foraging. Gentle handling. Handle the berries and fruits with care to avoid damaging them. Use a gentle touch when picking, as bruised or damaged fruits may spoil quickly. Leave no trace. Be mindful of the environment and only take what you need. Avoid over-harvesting and leave some berries and fruits for wildlife and other foragers. Avoid contaminated areas. Be cautious when foraging near roadsides or areas that may have been exposed to pesticides or pollutants. Choose clean, unpolluted areas for the best quality berries and fruits. Use appropriate containers. Carry a basket or container with you to collect the berries and fruits. Avoid using plastic bags, as they can cause the fruits to become crushed and spoil more quickly. 7.1.3 Enjoying berries and fruits. Once you have harvested your berries and fruits, it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Here are some ideas for incorporating these natural treats into your meals and snacks. Fresh. Enjoy the berries and fruits as they are, straight from the bush. They make a refreshing and nutritious snack on their own. Smoothies. Blend the berries with yogurt, milk, or your favorite plant-based milk for a delicious and healthy smoothie. Baking. Add the berries to muffins, cakes, or pies for a burst of flavor. They can also be used in pancakes, scones, or bread. Preserves. Make jams, jellies, or syrups with the berries to enjoy their flavors throughout the year. These can be spread on toast, used as toppings for desserts, or added to sauces. Salads. Toss the berries into salads for a pop of color and sweetness. They pair well with leafy greens, nuts, and cheese. Infusions. Use the berries to make infused water, tea, or flavored vinegar. This is a great way to enjoy their flavors in a different form. Remember to wash the berries and fruits thoroughly before consuming them to remove any dirt or insects. With proper identification, responsible harvesting, and creative culinary techniques, foraging for berries and fruits can be a delightful and delicious experience. So get out there, explore the wild, and savor the natural bounty that nature has to offer. 7.2 Foraging for leafy greens. Leafy greens are a nutritious and versatile category of edible wild plants that can be found in various environments. They are packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, making them a valuable addition to any forager's diet. In this section, we will explore the different types of leafy greens that can be foraged, how to identify them, and some delicious ways to prepare and enjoy them. 7.2.1 Identifying leafy greens. When foraging for leafy greens, it is essential to correctly identify the plants to ensure they are safe to consume. Here are some common leafy greens that can be found in the wild. 7.2.1.1 Dandelion, Taraxacum officinale. Dandelion is a well-known and easily recognizable leafy green that can be found in meadows, grasslands, and even urban environments. Its leaves are deeply toothed and form a rosette shape close to the ground. Dandelion leaves have a slightly bitter taste but can be enjoyed raw in salads or cooked as a nutritious side dish. 7.2.1.2 Lamb's Quarters, Chenopodium album. Lamb's quarters, also known as wild spinach, is a leafy green that grows abundantly in gardens, fields, and disturbed areas. Its leaves are triangular or diamond-shaped with a white powdery coating on the undersides. Lamb's quarters can be used as a substitute for spinach in various recipes, such as soups, stir-fries, or sautés. 7.2.1.3 Purslane, Portulaca oleracea. Purslane is a succulent leafy green that thrives in sunny areas, including gardens, fields, and even sidewalk cracks. Its leaves are small, thick, and paddle-shaped, with a slightly tangy flavor. Purslane can be enjoyed raw in salads or used as a thickening agent in soups and stews. 7.2.1.4 Nettles, Urtica dioica. Nettles are a nutrient-rich leafy green that can be found in damp areas, such as forests and along riverbanks. They have serrated leaves and are covered in stinging hairs, so it is essential to wear gloves when harvesting them. Nettles can be cooked to remove the stinging hairs and used in various dishes, including soups, teas, and pesto. 7.2.1.5 Plantain, Plantago spp. Plantain is a common leafy green that can be found in lawns, meadows, and disturbed areas. It has broad, ribbed leaves that form a rosette close to the ground. Plantain leaves have a slightly bitter taste and can be enjoyed raw in salads or cooked as a nutritious side dish. 7.2.2 Harvesting leafy greens. When harvesting leafy greens, it is important to follow sustainable foraging practices to ensure the plant's continued growth and health. Here are some guidelines to keep in mind. Harvest only a small portion of the plant, leaving the majority to continue growing and reproducing. Avoid harvesting leafy greens from polluted areas or near roadsides, as they may contain harmful contaminants. Use sharp scissors or a knife to cut the leaves close to the base of the plant, taking care not to damage the surrounding vegetation. If you encounter any insects or pests on the leaves, gently shake them off or rinse the leaves with water before consuming. 7.2.3 Preparing and cooking leafy greens. Leafy greens can be enjoyed in a variety of ways, both raw and cooked. Here are some methods for preparing and cooking leafy greens. 7.2.3.1 Raw in salads. One of the simplest ways to enjoy leafy greens is by incorporating them into fresh salads. Wash the leaves thoroughly, remove any tough stems, and toss them with your favorite salad ingredients, such as tomatoes, cucumbers, and dressing. 7.2.3.2 Sautéed or stir-fried. Leafy greens can be quickly sautéed or stir-fried to create a delicious and nutritious side dish. Heat a small amount of oil or butter in a pan, add the washed and chopped greens, and cook them until they wilt and become tender. Season with salt, pepper, and other desired spices. 7.2.3.3 Steamed or boiled. Steaming or boiling leafy greens is another popular cooking method that helps retain their vibrant color and nutrients. Place the washed and chopped greens in a steamer basket or a pot with a small amount of water. Steam or boil them until they are tender but still retain some crispness. Serve as a side dish or incorporate them into other recipes. 7.2.3.4 Blanched and frozen. If you have an abundance of leafy greens, blanching and freezing them can help preserve their freshness for future use. Blanch the washed and chopped greens in boiling water for a few minutes, then transfer them to an ice bath to cool. Drain and pack them into airtight containers or freezer bags, removing as much air as possible. Label and freeze for later use in soups, stews, or smoothies. 7.2.4 Recipes and culinary uses. Leafy greens can be used in a wide range of recipes, adding flavor, texture, and nutrition to your meals. Here are a few recipe ideas to inspire your culinary adventures. 7.2.4.1 Dandelion salad with citrus dressing ingredients. Dandelion leaves, oranges or grapefruits, segmented red onion, thinly sliced toasted nuts, such as walnuts or almonds, olive oil. Lemon juice, honey or maple syrup, salt and pepper. Instructions. Wash and dry the dandelion leaves, removing any tough stems. In a large bowl, combine the dandelion leaves, citrus segments, sliced red onion, and toasted nuts. In a separate small bowl, whisk together olive oil, lemon juice, honey or maple syrup, salt, and pepper to make the dressing. Drizzle the dressing over the salad and toss to combine. Serve immediately. 7.2.4.2 Lamb's quarters and feta stuffed chicken breast. Ingredients. Chicken breasts, lamb's quarters, leaves, feta cheese, crumbled garlic, minced olive oil, salt and pepper. Instructions. Preheat the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, 190 degrees Celsius. Butterfly the chicken breasts by slicing them horizontally, leaving one side intact. In a small bowl, mix together the crumbled feta cheese, minced garlic, olive oil, salt, and pepper. Stuff each chicken breast with a handful of lamb's quarters leaves and a spoonful of the feta cheese mixture. Secure the chicken breasts with toothpicks or kitchen twine. Heat a large oven-safe skillet over medium-high heat and sear the stuffed chicken breasts on both sides until golden brown. Transfer the skillet to the preheated oven and bake for about 20 to 25 minutes or until the chicken is cooked through. Remove from the oven and let the chicken rest for a few minutes before serving. These are just a few examples of the many ways you can incorporate leafy greens into your meals. Get creative and experiment with different combinations and cooking techniques to discover your favorite leafy green recipes. Remember to always forage responsibly, respecting the environment and following local regulations. Enjoy the abundance of nutritious leafy greens that nature has to offer. 7.3 Foraging for mushrooms. Mushrooms are a fascinating and diverse group of organisms that have been foraged for centuries for their culinary and medicinal properties. Foraging for mushrooms can be an exciting and rewarding experience, but it is important to approach it with caution and knowledge. In this section, we will explore the basics of foraging for mushrooms, including identification, harvesting techniques, and safety considerations. 7.3.1 Mushroom Identification Basics. Identifying mushrooms can be a challenging task, as there are thousands of different species with varying characteristics. However, with practice and the right resources, you can become proficient in mushroom identification. Here are some key points to consider. Study field guides. Invest in a reliable field guide that focuses on mushrooms in your region. Look for guides that include detailed descriptions, photographs, and information on habitat and seasonality. Learn the key features. Pay attention to the key features of mushrooms, such as cap shape, color, texture, gills or pores, stem characteristics, and spore color. These features can help you narrow down the possibilities and identify the mushroom accurately. Start with easy-to-identify species. As a beginner, it is advisable to start with easily recognizable and commonly foraged mushrooms. Some examples include the chanterelle, morel, oyster mushroom, and shaggy mane. These mushrooms have distinct features that make them relatively easy to identify. Join a mushroom club or attend workshops. Connecting with experienced foragers and mycologists can greatly enhance your learning process. Mushroom clubs often organize forays and workshops where you can learn from experts and gain hands-on experience in mushroom identification. 7.3.2 Harvesting Techniques. When it comes to harvesting mushrooms, it is crucial to do so in a sustainable and responsible manner. Here are some guidelines to follow. Use a knife or scissors. To harvest mushrooms, use a sharp knife or scissors to cut the stem close to the ground. Avoid pulling or uprooting the mushroom, as this can damage the mycelium and prevent future growth. Leave some behind. It is important to leave some mushrooms behind, especially if they are young or small. This allows them to mature and release spores, ensuring the continued growth and reproduction of the mushroom population. Avoid overharvesting. Be mindful of the quantity of mushrooms you collect. Overharvesting can deplete local populations and disrupt the delicate balance of the ecosystem. Take only what you need and consider the impact of your actions on the environment. Respect protected areas. Some areas, such as national parks or nature reserves, may have regulations or restrictions on mushroom foraging. Always respect these rules and obtain the necessary permits if required. 7.3.3 Safety Considerations. While foraging for mushrooms can be a delightful experience, it is essential to prioritize safety. Some mushrooms can be highly toxic or even deadly if consumed. Here are some safety considerations to keep in mind. Know your mushrooms. Before consuming any wild mushroom, be absolutely certain of its identification. If you are unsure, consult an experienced mycologist or refrain from consuming it altogether. Start with well-known edible species. As a beginner, it is best to focus on easily identifiable edible mushrooms. Avoid foraging for mushrooms with complex identification features or those that have toxic lookalikes. Avoid risky habitats. Some mushrooms grow in habitats that may be contaminated with pollutants or heavy metals. Avoid foraging in areas near industrial sites, highways, or agricultural fields where chemical pesticides or fertilizers are used. Educate yourself. Take the time to educate yourself about the toxic mushrooms that grow in your region. Learn to recognize the common poisonous species and their distinguishing features to avoid accidental ingestion. Consume small quantities. When trying a new edible mushroom for the first time, consume only a small amount and wait for at least 24 hours to observe any adverse reactions. Some individuals may have allergies or sensitivities to certain mushrooms. Consult a healthcare professional. If you experience any symptoms such as nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, or dizziness after consuming a wild mushroom, seek immediate medical attention. Take a sample of the mushroom with you for identification purposes. Remember, foraging for mushrooms requires continuous learning and practice. It is always better to err on the side of caution and seek expert advice when in doubt. With time and experience, you will develop the skills and confidence to safely enjoy the bountiful world of wild mushrooms. 7.4 Foraging for nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds are a valuable source of nutrition and have been a part of human diets for thousands of years. Foraging for nuts and seeds can be a rewarding and sustainable way to supplement your diet with nutrient-rich foods. In this section, we will explore the different types of nuts and seeds that can be foraged, as well as the techniques for identifying, harvesting, and preparing them. 7.4.1 Identifying edible nuts and seeds. Before you start foraging for nuts and seeds, it is important to be able to identify the edible varieties from the non-edible or poisonous ones. Here are some common edible nuts and seeds that you may come across during your foraging adventures. Acorns. Acorns are the nuts of oak trees and can be found in various species of oak trees around the world. They are a rich source of carbohydrates, fats, and protein. However, acorns contain tannins that can make them bitter and inedible if not properly processed. To prepare acorns for consumption, they need to be bleached or soaked in water to remove the tannins. Once bleached, acorns can be roasted, ground into flour, or used in various recipes. Chestnuts. Chestnuts are the nuts of chestnut trees and are commonly found in temperate regions. They have a sweet and starchy flavor and are rich in carbohydrates, fiber, and vitamins. Chestnuts can be roasted, boiled, or used in both sweet and savory dishes. Hazelnuts. Hazelnuts, also known as filberts, are the nuts of the hazel tree. They have a rich and buttery flavor and are packed with healthy fats, protein, and vitamins. Hazelnuts can be eaten raw, roasted, or used in baking and cooking. Walnuts. Walnuts are the nuts of walnut trees and are known for their distinct flavor and texture. They are a good source of omega-3 fatty acids, protein, and antioxidants. Walnuts can be eaten raw, roasted, or used in a variety of dishes, including salads, desserts, and baked goods. Pine nuts. Pine nuts are the edible seeds of pine trees and are commonly used in Mediterranean and Middle Eastern cuisines. They have a delicate and buttery flavor and are rich in healthy fats, protein, and vitamins. Pine nuts can be eaten raw, toasted, or used in pesto, salads, and desserts. Sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds are the seeds of the sunflower plant and are widely consumed around the world. They are a good source of healthy fats, protein, fiber, and vitamins. Sunflower seeds can be eaten raw, roasted, or used in baking, cooking, and as a topping for salads and snacks. 7.4.2 Harvesting nuts and seeds. When foraging for nuts and seeds, timing is crucial. Most nuts and seeds are ready for harvest in the late summer or early fall when they have fully ripened. Here are some general guidelines for harvesting nuts and seeds. Look for mature nuts and seeds that have fallen to the ground or are easily detachable from the plant. Avoid collecting nuts and seeds that are damaged, moldy, or infested with insects. Use gloves or a small tool to crack open hard shells and extract the edible part. Collect nuts and seeds in a breathable bag or basket to allow air circulation and prevent spoilage. It is important to note that some nuts and seeds, like acorns, may require additional processing before they can be consumed. This may involve bleaching, drying, or roasting to remove any bitter or toxic compounds. 7.4.3 Preparing and using nuts and seeds. Once you have harvested your nuts and seeds, it is time to prepare them for consumption. Here are some common methods for preparing and using nuts and seeds. Roasting. Roasting nuts and seeds enhances their flavor and texture. Spread them in a single layer on a baking sheet and roast them in the oven at a moderate temperature until they are golden brown. Roasted nuts and seeds can be enjoyed as a snack or used in various recipes. Grinding. Nuts and seeds can be ground into flour or paste, which can be used in baking, cooking, or as a base for sauces and spreads. Use a food processor or a mortar and pestle to grind them to the desired consistency. Incorporating into recipes. Nuts and seeds can be added to a wide range of recipes to enhance their flavor, texture, and nutritional value. They can be used in salads, stir-fries, soups, stews, desserts, and even as a topping for breakfast cereals and yogurt. Storing. To ensure the longevity of your harvested nuts and seeds, store them in a cool, dry place in airtight containers. Proper storage will help prevent spoilage and maintain their freshness and nutritional value. 7.4.4 Safety Considerations. While foraging for nuts and seeds can be a rewarding experience, it is important to keep some safety considerations in mind. Always be cautious of potential allergens. Some people may have allergies to certain nuts and seeds, so it is important to be aware of any potential risks. Ensure that you have correctly identified the nuts and seeds you are foraging. Mistaking a poisonous variety for an edible one can have serious consequences. Be mindful of the environment and only take what you need. Overharvesting can have a negative impact on the ecosystem and future foraging opportunities. By following these guidelines and practicing responsible foraging, you can enjoy the abundance of nuts and seeds that nature has to offer while respecting the environment and ensuring your safety. Happy foraging. 8. Foraging for medicinal plants. 8.1 Introduction to medicinal foraging. Medicinal foraging is the practice of gathering and utilizing wild plants for their healing properties. Throughout history, humans have relied on the power of nature to treat various ailments and promote overall well-being. Medicinal plants have been used in traditional medicine systems around the world, and their effectiveness has been recognized by modern science as well. In this section, we will explore the fascinating world of medicinal foraging, including the benefits, common plants, preparation methods, and safety considerations. 8.1.1 The benefits of medicinal foraging. Medicinal foraging offers a range of benefits for both physical and mental health. By incorporating wild plants into our lives, we can tap into the healing power of nature and enhance our well-being. Here are some of the key benefits of medicinal foraging. 1. Natural healing. Medicinal plants provide a natural alternative to synthetic drugs. They contain a wide array of bioactive compounds that can help alleviate symptoms, boost the immune system, and support the body's natural healing processes. 2. Accessible and affordable. Many medicinal plants can be found in our local environments, making them easily accessible and cost-effective. By learning to identify and harvest these plants, we can take control of our health without relying solely on commercial products. 3. Sustainability. Medicinal foraging promotes a sustainable approach to healthcare. By utilizing wild plants, we reduce our dependence on industrialized medicine and contribute to the conservation of natural resources. 4. Connection to nature. Engaging in medicinal foraging allows us to deepen our connection with the natural world. Spending time outdoors, observing plants, and learning about their medicinal properties can be a grounding and enriching experience. 5. Empowerment. Learning about medicinal plants and their uses empowers us to take charge of our health. By understanding the healing properties of plants, we can make informed decisions about our well-being and become more self-reliant. 8.1.2 Common medicinal plants and their uses. Nature provides us with a vast array of medicinal plants, each with its unique healing properties. Here are some common medicinal plants that you may encounter during your foraging journeys. 1. Echinacea. Echinacea purpurea, known for its immune-boosting properties, echinacea is often used to prevent and treat the common cold and flu. It can also help reduce inflammation and support overall immune system function. 2. Chamomile. Metricaria chamomilla. Chamomile is well known for its calming and soothing effects. It is commonly used to promote relaxation, relieve anxiety, and aid in sleep. 3. St. John's wort. Hypericum perforatum. This plant is often used as a natural antidepressant. It can help alleviate mild to moderate depression and improve mood. 4. Calendula. Calendula officinalis. Calendula has anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties. It is commonly used in skincare products to soothe and heal skin irritations, cuts, and burns. 5. Peppermint. Mentha piperita. Peppermint is known for its digestive benefits. It can help relieve indigestion, bloating, and nausea. 6. Lavender. Lavandula angustifolia. Lavender is widely used for its calming and relaxing properties. It can help reduce anxiety, promote better sleep, and soothe headaches. 7. Ginger. Zingiber officinale. Ginger has anti-inflammatory and digestive properties. It is often used to relieve nausea, motion sickness, and indigestion. 8. Turmeric. Curcuma longa. Turmeric contains a compound called curcumin, which has potent anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects. It is used to reduce inflammation, support joint health, and boost overall well-being. 8.1.3 Preparing and using medicinal plants. Once you have identified and harvested medicinal plants, it is important to know how to prepare and use them effectively. Here are some common methods for preparing and using medicinal plants. 1. Infusions and decoctions. Infusions and decoctions are simple methods of extracting the medicinal properties of plants using hot water. Infusions are typically used for delicate plant parts like flowers and leaves, while decoctions are used for tougher plant parts like roots and barks. 2. Tinctures. Tinctures are concentrated liquid extracts made by soaking plant material in alcohol or a mixture of alcohol and water. They are convenient to use and have a longer shelf life compared to other preparations. 3. Poultices and compresses. Poultices involve applying mashed or crushed plant material directly to the skin to treat localized issues like wounds, bruises, or insect bites. Compresses are similar but involve soaking a cloth in a herbal infusion or decoction and applying it to the affected area. 4. Salves and ointments. Salves and ointments are topical preparations made by combining medicinal plant extracts with a base such as beeswax or coconut oil. They are used to treat skin conditions, wounds, and muscle aches. 5. Herbal teas. Herbal teas are a popular way to enjoy the medicinal benefits of plants. Simply steep the desired plant material in hot water for a few minutes and enjoy the soothing and healing properties. 8.1.4 Safety considerations for medicinal foraging. While medicinal foraging can be a rewarding and beneficial practice, it is essential to approach it with caution and respect for both the plants and your own well-being. Here are some safety considerations to keep in mind. 1. Proper identification. Accurate plant identification is crucial to avoid any potential risks. Make sure to thoroughly research and learn about the plants you intend to forage, including their lookalikes and potential toxic properties. 2. Sustainable harvesting. Practice sustainable harvesting techniques to ensure the long-term survival of medicinal plants. Only take what you need, leave enough for the plant to regenerate, and avoid harvesting endangered or protected species. 3. Allergies and sensitivities. Some individuals may have allergies or sensitivities to certain plants. It is important to be aware of any personal allergies or sensitivities and avoid using plants that may cause adverse reactions. 4. Consultation with experts. If you are unsure about the safety or proper usage of a medicinal plant, consult with a qualified herbalist, naturopath, or healthcare professional. They can provide guidance and ensure that you are using plants in a safe and effective manner. 5. Medication interactions. If you are currently taking any medications, be aware that certain medicinal plants may interact with them. Consult with your healthcare provider to ensure that there are no potential interactions or contraindications. By approaching medicinal foraging with knowledge, respect, and caution, you can unlock the incredible healing potential of nature and enhance your well-being in a natural and sustainable way. Remember to always prioritize safety and continue to expand your knowledge and understanding of medicinal plants. 8.2 Common medicinal plants and their uses. Medicinal plants have been used for centuries to treat various ailments and promote overall well-being. In this section, we will explore some of the most common medicinal plants that can be foraged in the wild and their traditional uses. 8.2.1 Echinacea, Echinacea purpurea. Echinacea, also known as purple coneflower, is a popular medicinal plant that is native to North America. It has been used by Native Americans for centuries to boost the immune system and treat respiratory infections, such as the common cold and flu. Echinacea is believed to have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties, making it a valuable herb for supporting overall health. 8.2.2 St. John's wort, Hypericum perforatum. St. John's wort is a flowering plant that is native to Europe but can also be found in other parts of the world. It has a long history of use as a natural remedy for depression and anxiety. St. John's wort is believed to work by increasing the levels of serotonin, a neurotransmitter that plays a key role in mood regulation. It is often used as an alternative to conventional antidepressant medications. 8.2.3 Chamomile, Matricaria chamomilla. Chamomile is a well-known medicinal plant that is native to Europe and Western Asia. It is widely used for its calming and soothing properties, making it an excellent herb for promoting relaxation and relieving stress. Chamomile is often consumed as a tea and is also used topically to soothe skin irritations and promote wound healing. 8.2.4 Peppermint, Mentha piperita. Peppermint is a perennial herb that is native to Europe but is now cultivated worldwide. It is known for its refreshing aroma and cooling sensation. Peppermint has a wide range of medicinal uses, including relieving digestive issues such as indigestion, bloating, and nausea. It is also used topically to relieve headaches and muscle pain. 8.2.5 Lavender, Lavandula angustifolia. Lavender is a fragrant herb that is native to the Mediterranean region but is now grown in many parts of the world. It is widely used for its calming and relaxing properties. Lavender is often used in aromatherapy to promote sleep and reduce anxiety. It is also used topically to soothe skin irritations and promote wound healing. 8.2.6 Ginger, Zingiber officinale. Ginger is a flowering plant that is native to Southeast Asia but is now cultivated in many tropical and subtropical regions. It has a long history of use in traditional medicine for its anti-inflammatory and digestive properties. Ginger is commonly used to relieve nausea, motion sickness, and indigestion. It is also used topically to reduce pain and inflammation. 8.2.7 Turmeric, Curcuma longa. Turmeric is a perennial herb that is native to South Asia. It is widely known for its vibrant yellow color and distinct flavor. Turmeric contains a compound called curcumin, which has powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. It is often used to relieve joint pain, reduce inflammation, and support overall immune health. 8.2.8 Aloe vera. Aloe vera. Aloe vera is a succulent plant that is native to the Arabian Peninsula but is now cultivated worldwide. It has been used for centuries for its healing properties. Aloe vera gel, which is extracted from the leaves, is commonly used topically to soothe sunburns, skin irritations, and minor wounds. It is also used internally to support digestive health. 8.2.9 Calendula. Calendula officinalis. Calendula, also known as marigold, is a flowering plant that is native to Europe but is now grown in many parts of the world. It has been used for centuries for its anti-inflammatory and wound healing properties. Calendula is often used topically to promote the healing of cuts, burns, and skin irritations. It is also used internally to support digestive health. 8.2.10 Garlic. Allium sativum. Garlic is a bulbous plant that is native to Central Asia but is now cultivated worldwide. It has been used for centuries for its medicinal properties. Garlic is known for its antimicrobial and immune-boosting properties. It is often used to prevent and treat respiratory infections, lower blood pressure, and support cardiovascular health. These are just a few examples of the many medicinal plants that can be foraged in the wild. It is important to note that while these plants have a long history of traditional use, it is always recommended to consult with a healthcare professional before using them for medicinal purposes. Additionally, proper identification and sustainable harvesting practices are essential when foraging for medicinal plants to ensure their continued availability in the wild. 8.3 Preparing and using medicinal plants. Medicinal plants have been used for centuries by various cultures around the world to treat and prevent illnesses. These plants contain natural compounds that have therapeutic properties and can be used to promote healing and well-being. In this section, we will explore the process of preparing and using medicinal plants effectively. 8.3.1 Harvesting medicinal plants. When it comes to harvesting medicinal plants, it is crucial to do so at the right time to ensure the highest potency of the plant's medicinal properties. The optimal time for harvesting varies depending on the specific plant and the part of the plant that is used. Here are some general guidelines to follow. Timing. Harvest medicinal plants when they are in full bloom or when the medicinal part of the plant is at its peak. This is usually when the plant has accumulated the highest concentration of active compounds. Weather. Choose a dry and sunny day to harvest medicinal plants. Moisture can affect the quality of the plant and increase the risk of mold or spoilage. Tools. Use clean and sharp gardening shears or scissors to harvest the plants. This helps to minimize damage to the plant and ensures a clean cut. Selective harvesting. Only harvest a small portion of the plant, leaving the majority of it intact. This allows the plant to continue growing and ensures its sustainability. 8.3.2 Drying medicinal plants. Once you have harvested the medicinal plants, the next step is to dry them properly. Drying helps to preserve the medicinal properties of the plants and prevents them from spoiling. Here are some steps to follow when drying medicinal plants. Cleaning. Remove any dirt, insects, or damaged parts from the plants. Gently wash them under running water if necessary. Air drying. Hang the plants upside down in a well-ventilated area away from direct sunlight. This allows the plants to dry naturally and evenly. Make sure to tie them in small bundles to prevent them from touching each other. Temperature and humidity. Choose a drying location with a temperature between 70-90 degrees Fahrenheit, 21-32 degrees Celsius, and a humidity level below 60%. Avoid drying plants in areas with high humidity, as this can lead to mold growth. Drying time. The drying time varies depending on the plant and the environmental conditions. It can take anywhere from a few days to a few weeks. The plants are ready when they are brittle and crumble easily. 8.3.3 Making herbal infusions and decoctions. Herbal infusions and decoctions are two common methods of extracting the medicinal properties from dried plants. Here's how you can prepare them. Herbal infusions. Infusions are made by steeping dried plant material in hot water. To make an herbal infusion, follow these steps. Boil water and pour it over the dried plant material in a heat-resistant container. Cover the container and let it steep for 10 to 15 minutes. Strain the liquid and discard the plant material. The resulting infusion can be consumed as a tea or used topically. Herbal decoctions. Decoctions involve simmering the dried plant material in water to extract the medicinal compounds. Here's how to make a herbal decoction. Place the dried plant material in a pot and add water. Bring the mixture to a boil and then reduce the heat to a simmer. Allow the mixture to simmer for 20 to 30 minutes. Strain the liquid and discard the plant material. The resulting decoction can be consumed or used externally. 8.3.4 Creating herbal salves and ointments. Herbal salves and ointments are topical preparations that can be used to treat various skin conditions and promote healing. Here's a simple method to create your own herbal salve. Ingredients. Gather dried medicinal plants of your choice, such as calendula, comfrey, or lavender, and a carrier oil like olive oil or coconut oil. You will also need beeswax to solidify the salve. Infusing the oil. Place the dried plant material in a clean glass jar and cover it with the carrier oil. Make sure the plant material is fully submerged. Seal the jar and place it in a sunny spot for 2 to 4 weeks, shaking it occasionally. Straining the oil. After the infusion period, strain the oil using a cheesecloth or fine mesh strainer to remove the plant material. Squeeze out as much oil as possible. Adding beeswax. In a double boiler, melt the infused oil and add grated beeswax. The ratio of oil to beeswax depends on the desired consistency of the salve. Stir until the beeswax is fully melted and incorporated. Pouring and cooling. Pour the mixture into clean, sterilized containers, such as small jars or tins. Allow the salve to cool and solidify completely before using. 8.3.5 Using medicinal plants safely. While medicinal plants can offer numerous health benefits, it is essential to use them safely. Here are some safety considerations to keep in mind. Research. Thoroughly research the medicinal plant you intend to use, including its potential side effects, contraindications, and proper dosage. Consult reputable sources or seek guidance from a qualified herbalist or healthcare professional. Allergies and sensitivities. Be aware of any allergies or sensitivities you may have to specific plants. Perform a patch test before using a new plant topically or consuming it internally. Pregnancy and medical conditions. Certain medicinal plants may not be safe for pregnant women or individuals with specific medical conditions. Consult with a healthcare professional before using any medicinal plants if you fall into these categories. Quality and purity. Ensure that the medicinal plants you use are of high quality and free from contaminants. If possible, source plants from reputable suppliers or grow them yourself using organic practices. Remember, using medicinal plants should complement, not replace, professional medical advice. If you have any concerns or questions about using medicinal plants, consult with a healthcare professional for personalized guidance. By following these guidelines, you can safely and effectively prepare and use medicinal plants to harness their healing properties and promote overall well-being. 8.4 Safety considerations for medicinal foraging. When it comes to foraging for medicinal plants, it is essential to prioritize safety. While many wild plants have incredible healing properties, it is crucial to exercise caution and take certain safety considerations into account. This section will provide you with important guidelines to ensure a safe and enjoyable experience while foraging for medicinal plants. 8.4.1 Know your plants. Before embarking on any medicinal foraging expedition, it is crucial to have a thorough understanding of the plants you are seeking. Familiarize yourself with their appearance, growth habits, and any potential lookalikes or poisonous plants that may be present in the same environment. This knowledge will help you identify the correct plants and avoid any potential risks. 8.4.2 Consult with experts. If you are new to medicinal foraging or unsure about the identification of a particular plant, it is always wise to consult with experts or experienced foragers. Seek guidance from local herbalists, botanists, or knowledgeable individuals who can provide accurate information about the plants in your area. Their expertise can help you avoid any potential dangers and ensure you are harvesting the correct plants. 8.4.3 Location and environment. When foraging for medicinal plants, it is important to consider the location and environment in which they grow. Avoid areas that may be contaminated with pollutants, such as industrial sites, roadsides, or areas sprayed with pesticides. Choose pristine and natural environments, such as forests, meadows, or mountains, where the plants are less likely to be exposed to harmful substances. 8.4.4 Harvesting practices. Proper harvesting practices are essential to ensure the sustainability and regrowth of medicinal plants. Follow these guidelines to minimize your impact on the environment and promote the long-term health of the plants. Harvest only what you need. Avoid overharvesting and take only the amount of plant material necessary for your intended use. Leave enough behind for the plant to regenerate and provide for other foragers and wildlife. Respect growth stages. Be mindful of the growth stages of the plants you are harvesting. Avoid picking plants that have not yet reached maturity or are in the process of flowering or setting seeds. This allows the plant to complete its life cycle and ensures its survival. Use proper tools. Use sharp and clean tools, such as scissors or pruning shears, to harvest the plants. This helps minimize damage to the plant and reduces the risk of introducing pathogens or contaminants. Avoid endangered species. Research and familiarize yourself with endangered or protected plant species in your area. Refrain from harvesting these plants to contribute to their conservation efforts. 8.4.5 Safety precautions. When foraging for medicinal plants, it is important to prioritize your safety. Follow these precautions to minimize the risk of accidents or adverse reactions. Dress appropriately. Wear long sleeves, pants, and sturdy footwear to protect yourself from scratches, insect bites, or contact with poisonous plants. Use gloves. Consider wearing gloves, especially when handling plants with thorns, spines, or irritating sap. This protects your hands from potential skin irritations or allergic reactions. Beware of poisonous plants. While foraging for medicinal plants, be aware of any poisonous plants that may be present in the same environment. Familiarize yourself with their appearance and avoid accidental ingestion or contact. Allergies and sensitivities. If you have known allergies or sensitivities to certain plants or plant families, exercise caution when foraging for medicinal plants. Avoid plants that may trigger an allergic reaction or consult with a healthcare professional before using them. Avoid areas with contamination. Be cautious of areas that may be contaminated with pollutants, such as heavy metals or chemicals. These substances can be absorbed by plants and pose health risks when consumed or used medicinally. 8.4.6 Proper plant processing and preparation. Once you have harvested the medicinal plants, it is important to handle and process them correctly to maintain their potency and safety. Clean and wash thoroughly. Rinse the harvested plants with clean water to remove any dirt, insects, or debris. This helps eliminate potential contaminants and ensures the cleanliness of the plant material. Proper drying techniques. Depending on the plant, drying may be necessary to preserve its medicinal properties. Follow specific drying instructions for each plant, such as air drying, using a dehydrator, or hanging the plants in a well-ventilated area away from direct sunlight. Storage considerations. Store dried medicinal plants in airtight containers, away from moisture, heat, and sunlight. Label each container with the plant name and date of harvest to maintain freshness and potency. Proper disposal. Dispose of any plant material that appears spoiled, moldy, or contaminated. This prevents the risk of using compromised or potentially harmful plant material. By following these safety considerations, you can enjoy the benefits of medicinal foraging while minimizing any potential risks. Remember, safety should always be a priority when engaging in any foraging activity, especially when it comes to harvesting plants for medicinal purposes. 9. Foraging with children. 9.1 Benefits of foraging for children. Foraging is not only an enjoyable activity for adults but can also be a wonderful experience for children. It provides them with a unique opportunity to connect with nature, learn about the environment, and develop important life skills. Here are some of the key benefits of foraging for children. 9.1.1 Connecting with nature. Foraging allows children to immerse themselves in the natural world and develop a deep connection with the environment. It provides them with a hands-on experience that cannot be replicated in a classroom or through books. By exploring the outdoors and engaging with plants, children develop a sense of wonder and appreciation for the natural world around them. 9.1.2 Learning about plants and ecosystems. Foraging introduces children to the diverse plant life that exists in their surroundings. They learn to identify different species of plants, understand their characteristics, and recognize their importance in the ecosystem. This knowledge helps children develop a deeper understanding of the natural world and the interdependence of living organisms. 9.1.3 Developing observation and problem-solving skills. Foraging requires children to observe their surroundings carefully and identify edible plants amidst a variety of vegetation. This process enhances their observation skills and teaches them to pay attention to details. Additionally, children learn to solve problems such as distinguishing between edible plants and poisonous lookalikes, which further develops their critical thinking and decision-making abilities. 9.1.4 Encouraging healthy eating habits. Foraging promotes a healthy and balanced diet by introducing children to a variety of nutritious wild plants. By actively participating in the process of gathering and preparing food, children develop a sense of ownership and pride in what they eat. They become more open to trying new foods and are more likely to develop a preference for fresh, natural ingredients over processed alternatives. 9.1.5 Fostering a sense of independence and self-reliance. Foraging empowers children by teaching them self-reliance and independence. They learn to navigate their surroundings, identify edible plants, and gather food for themselves. This sense of accomplishment boosts their self-confidence and instills a sense of resilience and resourcefulness that can be applied to various aspects of their lives. 9.1.6 Cultivating environmental stewardship. Foraging instills a sense of responsibility and respect for the environment in children. They learn about sustainable foraging practices, such as only taking what is needed and leaving the rest for wildlife and future generations. By understanding the delicate balance of ecosystems, children develop a sense of environmental stewardship and become more conscious of their impact on the natural world. 9.1.7 Enhancing physical fitness and motor skills. Foraging involves physical activity such as walking, bending, and reaching, which helps children develop their gross motor skills. They also engage in fine motor skills when carefully plucking berries or leaves from plants. These physical movements contribute to their overall physical fitness and coordination. 9.1.8 Promoting family bonding and quality time. Foraging can be a family activity that brings everyone together. It provides an opportunity for parents and children to spend quality time in nature, away from screens and distractions. By working together to identify and gather edible plants, families can strengthen their bonds and create lasting memories. 9.1.9 Stimulating curiosity and lifelong learning. Foraging sparks curiosity in children and encourages them to ask questions about the natural world. They develop a thirst for knowledge and a desire to learn more about plants, ecosystems, and the environment. This curiosity can extend beyond foraging and inspire a lifelong love for learning and exploration. 9.1.10 Nurturing creativity and imagination. Foraging allows children to engage their senses and stimulates their creativity and imagination. They can use the plants they gather to create nature-inspired crafts, build imaginary worlds, or even invent their own recipes. This creative outlet nurtures their imagination and encourages them to think outside the box. In conclusion, foraging offers numerous benefits for children. It connects them with nature, teaches them about plants and ecosystems, develops important life skills, promotes healthy eating habits, fosters independence and self-reliance, cultivates environmental stewardship, enhances physical fitness and motor skills, strengthens family bonds, stimulates curiosity and lifelong learning, and nurtures creativity and imagination. By engaging in this age-old practice, children can develop a deep appreciation for the natural world and gain valuable skills that will serve them well throughout their lives. 9.2 Safety Tips for Foraging with Children. Foraging with children can be a wonderful way to connect with nature, teach them about the environment, and instill a sense of self-sufficiency. However, it is important to prioritize safety when introducing children to the world of foraging. Here are some essential safety tips to keep in mind when foraging with children. 9.2.1 Choose safe foraging locations. Before embarking on a foraging adventure with children, it is crucial to choose safe and suitable locations. Look for areas that are free from pollution, pesticides, and other potential contaminants. Avoid foraging near busy roads, industrial areas, or places where there may be a risk of encountering dangerous wildlife. Research local parks, nature reserves, or community gardens that allow foraging and have a good reputation for safety. 9.2.2 Educate yourself and your children. Before taking your children foraging, it is important to educate yourself about the plants in your area. Learn to identify common edible plants and their poisonous lookalikes. Teach your children about the plants you will be foraging and how to recognize them. Emphasize the importance of not eating anything without your approval and supervision. Encourage them to ask questions and be curious, but also make sure they understand the potential risks involved. 9.2.3 Teach proper plant identification. Teaching children how to properly identify plants is crucial for their safety. Show them the key characteristics of the plants you will be foraging, such as leaf shape, color, and texture. Teach them to use all their senses, including smell and touch, to help identify plants. Emphasize the importance of being 100% certain of a plant's identity before consuming it. Encourage them to double-check with you or another knowledgeable adult if they are unsure about a plant. 9.2.4 Set clear boundaries and rules. Establishing clear boundaries and rules is essential when foraging with children. Teach them to stay within sight and earshot at all times. Set limits on how far they can wander and ensure they understand the importance of staying together as a group. Teach them to respect the environment by not trampling on plants or disturbing wildlife. Emphasize the importance of leaving no trace and not damaging the foraging area. 9.2.5 Dress appropriately. Proper attire is important for both comfort and safety during a foraging trip with children. Dress them in long pants and long-sleeved shirts to protect against scratches, insect bites, and exposure to poisonous plants. Encourage them to wear sturdy closed-toe shoes or boots to protect their feet. Consider providing them with hats and sunscreen to protect against sunburn. It is also a good idea to bring along insect repellent to ward off mosquitoes and ticks. 9.2.6 Teach caution and respect. Teach children to approach foraging with caution and respect. Emphasize the importance of not disturbing the natural balance of the ecosystem. Teach them to only take what they need and to leave enough for the plants to regenerate. Encourage them to handle plants gently and avoid damaging them. Teach them to be mindful of their surroundings and to watch out for potential hazards such as thorns, stinging nettles, or poisonous plants. 9.2.7 Supervise and monitor. Always supervise and closely monitor children during a foraging trip. Keep a watchful eye on them to ensure they are following safety guidelines and not putting themselves at risk. Encourage them to ask for help if they find a plant they are unsure about. Be vigilant in preventing them from putting any plants or berries in their mouths without your approval. Remember, children are naturally curious, so it is important to be proactive in ensuring their safety. 9.2.8 Teach first aid and emergency procedures. Accidents can happen even with the best precautions in place. Teach children basic first aid skills such as how to clean and dress a wound, how to identify and treat common insect bites or stings, and how to recognize and respond to allergic reactions. Make sure they know how to call for help in case of an emergency and teach them basic navigation skills to find their way back to a safe location if they become separated. 9.2.9 Be mindful of allergies and sensitivities. Before foraging with children, be aware of any allergies or sensitivities they may have. Some plants can cause allergic reactions in certain individuals, so it is important to know their specific sensitivities. Teach children to avoid touching or consuming any plants if they experience itching, redness, or any other signs of an allergic reaction. Always carry any necessary medications, such as antihistamines, in case of an allergic emergency. 9.2.10 Lead by example. As an adult, it is important to lead by example when foraging with children. Follow all safety guidelines yourself and demonstrate proper behavior and respect for the environment. Show them how to handle plants gently, how to harvest responsibly, and how to leave the foraging area undisturbed. By setting a good example, you can instill in them a lifelong appreciation for nature and responsible foraging practices. Foraging with children can be a rewarding and educational experience. By prioritizing safety and following these tips, you can create lasting memories while teaching them valuable skills and fostering a deep connection with the natural world. 9.3 Engaging children in the foraging process. Foraging is not only a rewarding and educational activity for adults, but it can also be a wonderful experience for children. Engaging children in the foraging process can help foster a deep connection with nature, teach them valuable skills, and instill a sense of responsibility towards the environment. In this section, we will explore various ways to involve children in foraging and make it an enjoyable and educational experience for them. 9.3.1 Introducing children to foraging. Introducing children to foraging at a young age can spark their curiosity and create a lifelong interest in nature and the outdoors. Here are some tips to get started. Educate them about edible plants. Begin by teaching children about the different types of edible plants that can be found in your local area. Show them pictures or take them on nature walks to help them identify these plants. Start with easy to identify plants. Begin with plants that are easy to identify and have no poisonous lookalikes. This will help build their confidence and ensure their safety. Common edible plants like dandelions, blackberries, and wild strawberries are great options to start with. Teach them about sustainability. Explain to children the importance of sustainable foraging practices. Teach them to only take what they need and to leave enough for the plants to regenerate. This will help instill a sense of responsibility towards the environment. Involve them in the planning process. Let children be a part of the planning process when going foraging. Discuss the location, the plants you hope to find, and the tools you will need. This will make them feel involved and excited about the experience. 9.3.2 Foraging activities for children. Engaging children in hands-on activities during the foraging process can make it more enjoyable and educational for them. Here are some activities you can try. Nature scavenger hunt. Create a scavenger hunt list with different edible plants, berries, or nuts for children to find. Provide them with a basket or bag to collect their treasures. This activity will help them develop their observation skills and learn about different plants. Plant identification game. Play a game where children have to identify different plants based on their characteristics. You can describe the plant's features, such as leaf shape, color, or smell, and have them guess the plant. This will enhance their plant identification skills. Nature journaling. Encourage children to keep a nature journal where they can document their foraging experiences. They can draw pictures of the plants they find, write down their observations, and even press flowers or leaves. This activity will help them develop their creativity and writing skills. Cooking with foraged ingredients. Involve children in the cooking process by using the foraged ingredients in simple recipes. Let them help wash and prepare the plants, and assist in cooking. This will not only teach them about food preparation but also allow them to taste the fruits of their foraging efforts. 9.3.3 Safety considerations for foraging with children. When foraging with children, it is essential to prioritize their safety. Here are some safety considerations to keep in mind. Supervision. Always supervise children closely during the foraging process. Ensure they do not consume any plants without your approval and guidance. Plant identification. Teach children the importance of proper plant identification and the potential dangers of consuming unknown plants. Emphasize the rule of, when in doubt, leave it out. Avoid toxic plants. Teach children to avoid plants with thorns, spines, or any signs of toxicity. Some plants may cause skin irritation or allergic reactions, so it's crucial to teach them to handle plants with care. Use of tools. If using tools during the foraging process, such as knives or scissors, teach children how to handle them safely and provide appropriate supervision. Tick and insect safety. Teach children about the risks of ticks and other insects that may be present in the foraging environment. Instruct them to wear appropriate clothing and use insect repellent to minimize the risk of bites. 9.3.4 Foraging is a learning experience. Foraging with children provides numerous learning opportunities beyond plant identification. Here are some additional benefits. Environmental awareness. Foraging allows children to develop a deeper understanding and appreciation for the natural world. They learn about the interdependence of plants, animals, and the environment. Science education. Foraging provides a hands-on approach to learning about biology, ecology, and botany. Children can learn about plant life cycles, the role of pollinators, and the importance of biodiversity. Cultural and historical knowledge. Foraging can also be an opportunity to teach children about the cultural and historical significance of wild plants. Share stories about how indigenous cultures use these plants for food, medicine, and other purposes. Life skills. Foraging teaches children valuable life skills such as patience, observation, problem solving, and self-reliance. These skills can benefit them in various aspects of their lives. By engaging children in the foraging process, we can help them develop a deep connection with nature, foster a sense of responsibility towards the environment, and provide them with valuable knowledge and skills. Remember to make the experience enjoyable, safe, and educational, and watch as their love for the natural world grows. 9.4 Educational activities and games. Engaging children in the foraging process can be a fun and educational experience. By involving them in activities and games related to edible wild plants, you can teach them valuable skills while fostering a love for nature and sustainable living. Here are some educational activities and games that you can try with children. 9.4.1 Plant identification game. One of the most important skills in foraging is being able to identify edible plants correctly. You can turn plant identification into a game by creating flashcards with pictures of different edible plants and their names. Take the children on a nature walk and challenge them to find the plants that match the flashcards. This activity will help them develop their observation skills and learn to recognize different plant species. 9.4.2 Scavenger Hunt. A scavenger hunt is a great way to get children excited about foraging. Create a list of edible plants that can be found in your local area and give each child a copy. Provide them with baskets or bags to collect the plants they find. Set a time limit and see who can find the most items on the list. This activity will encourage children to explore their surroundings, learn about different plants, and develop their problem-solving skills. 9.4.3 Plant Parts Matching Game. Teach children about the different parts of plants and their functions with a plant parts matching game. Create cards with pictures of plant parts such as leaves, stems, flowers, and roots. Mix up the cards and have the children match each picture to its corresponding plant part. This activity will help them understand the anatomy of plants and how each part contributes to their growth and survival. 9.4.4 Taste Testing. Engage children's senses by organizing a taste testing activity with edible wild plants. Choose a variety of plants that are safe to eat and have different flavors, such as sweet, sour, or bitter. Let the children sample small portions of each plant and ask them to describe the taste and texture. This activity will not only introduce them to new flavors but also teach them about the diversity of edible plants and how they can be incorporated into meals. 9.4.5 Plant Art. Combine creativity with learning by incorporating plant art into your educational activities. Provide children with art supplies such as paper, paints, and colored pencils, and encourage them to create drawings or paintings of the edible plants they have learned about. This activity will allow them to express their creativity while reinforcing their knowledge of plant identification and appreciation for nature's beauty. 9.4.6 Storytelling. Storytelling is a powerful tool for engaging children's imagination and teaching them about the natural world. Create stories that revolve around edible wild plants, incorporating themes of adventure, discovery, and the importance of sustainable living. You can also encourage children to create their own stories based on their experiences with foraging. This activity will not only enhance their storytelling skills but also deepen their understanding of the value of edible plants and the environment. 9.4.7 Plant-based cooking. Introduce children to the culinary aspect of foraging by involving them in plant-based cooking activities. Choose simple recipes that incorporate edible wild plants and guide the children through the cooking process. Teach them about the nutritional value of the plants they are using and how they can be transformed into delicious meals. This activity will not only teach children about cooking but also instill in them a sense of self-sufficiency and the joy of preparing food from nature's bounty. 9.4.8 Nature Journaling. Encourage children to keep a nature journal where they can record their observations and experiences with edible wild plants. Provide them with notebooks and art supplies, and encourage them to write about the plants they have encountered, draw pictures, and describe their sensory experiences. This activity will help children develop their writing and observation skills while fostering a deeper connection with nature. 9.4.9 Plant-based crafts. Engage children in hands-on activities by creating plant-based crafts using materials sourced from nature. For example, you can teach them how to make flower crowns using wildflowers or create pressed flower art. This activity will allow children to explore their creativity while appreciating the beauty of edible plants in the natural world. 9.4.10 Foraging field trips. Organize field trips to local parks, forests, or other natural areas where children can experience foraging firsthand. With proper guidance and supervision, let them explore the environment, identify edible plants, and harvest them responsibly. This activity will provide children with a real-life foraging experience and deepen their understanding of the importance of sustainable practices. By incorporating these educational activities and games into your foraging adventures with children, you can create a memorable and enriching experience. Not only will they learn about edible wild plants, but they will also develop important skills, foster a love for nature, and gain a deeper appreciation for the environment and sustainable living. 10. Ethical foraging practices. 10.1 Respecting the environment. Respecting the environment is a fundamental aspect of ethical foraging practices. When we engage in the activity of foraging for edible wild plants, it is essential to do so in a way that minimizes our impact on the natural world and ensures the sustainability of the ecosystems we rely on. By respecting the environment, we can continue to enjoy the benefits of foraging for generations to come. 10.1.1 Understanding ecosystems. To truly respect the environment while foraging, it is crucial to have a basic understanding of the ecosystems in which we are harvesting. Ecosystems are complex networks of plants, animals, and microorganisms that interact with each other and their environment. Each component plays a vital role in maintaining the balance and health of the ecosystem. Before venturing out to forage, take the time to learn about the specific ecosystem you will be exploring. Understand the different plant species, their growth patterns, and their relationships with other organisms in the ecosystem. This knowledge will help you make informed decisions about where and how to forage, ensuring that you do not disrupt the delicate balance of the environment. 10.1.2 Harvesting responsibly. Respecting the environment also means harvesting wild plants responsibly. Here are some guidelines to follow. Take only what you need. When foraging, it is essential to practice moderation. Only harvest the amount of plants that you will use. Taking more than necessary can deplete the population and disrupt the ecosystem. Leave no trace. As you forage, strive to leave the environment as you found it. Avoid trampling on plants or damaging their surroundings. Be mindful of the impact you have on the ecosystem and minimize any disturbance. Avoid endangered species. Some wild plants are endangered or protected by law. Educate yourself about the plants in your area and avoid harvesting those that are at risk. By doing so, you contribute to the conservation efforts and help preserve these species for future generations. Respect natural habitats. Wild plants thrive in specific habitats that provide the necessary conditions for their growth. Avoid foraging in sensitive areas such as protected lands, nature reserves, or private property without permission. By respecting these boundaries, you help maintain the integrity of the natural habitats. Practice sustainable harvesting. When harvesting wild plants, consider the long-term sustainability of the population. Avoid overharvesting by only taking a small portion of the plant, leaving the rest to continue growing and reproducing. Additionally, spread out your harvesting efforts to minimize the impact on any one area. 10.1.3 Protecting biodiversity. Biodiversity refers to the variety of life forms within an ecosystem. It is crucial for the health and resilience of the environment. By respecting the environment while foraging, you contribute to the protection of biodiversity. Here's how. Avoid monoculture. Monoculture refers to the cultivation of a single crop over a large area. When foraging, embrace the diversity of wild plants and avoid focusing solely on one species. By doing so, you help maintain a balanced ecosystem and prevent the dominance of a single plant species. Protect pollinators. Pollinators such as bees, butterflies, and birds play a vital role in the reproduction of plants. To protect their habitats, avoid using pesticides or other harmful chemicals while foraging. Opt for organic and sustainable practices that support the health of pollinators and the plants they rely on. Support native species. Native plants are those that naturally occur in a specific region. They have adapted to the local environment and provide essential resources for wildlife. When foraging, prioritize native species over invasive ones. By doing so, you help maintain the balance of the ecosystem and support the native wildlife. Report invasive species. Invasive species are non-native plants that can harm the local ecosystem by outcompeting native species. If you come across an invasive plant while foraging, report it to the appropriate authorities. By taking action, you contribute to the preservation of the environment and the protection of native species. 10.1.4 Educating others. Respecting the environment goes beyond our personal actions. It also involves educating others about the importance of ethical foraging practices. By sharing our knowledge and experiences, we can inspire others to forage responsibly and contribute to the preservation of the environment. Here are some ways to educate others. Lead by example, practice ethical foraging and demonstrate the importance of respecting the environment through your actions. Show others how to harvest responsibly, leave no trace, and protect biodiversity. Share knowledge. Share your foraging experiences and knowledge with others. Teach them how to identify edible plants, harvest responsibly, and protect the environment. Encourage them to learn about the ecosystems in their own region and the importance of sustainability. Organize workshops and events. Consider organizing workshops or events to educate others about ethical foraging practices. Invite experts to speak about the importance of respecting the environment and provide hands-on experiences to learn about plant identification, sustainable harvesting, and conservation. Engage with local communities. Connect with local communities, schools, and organizations to raise awareness about ethical foraging practices. Collaborate on projects that promote sustainability and conservation. By working together, we can make a greater impact in protecting the environment. Respecting the environment is not only a responsibility but also an opportunity to deepen our connection with nature. By foraging ethically and promoting sustainable practices, we can enjoy the abundance of edible wild plants while ensuring the preservation of the environment for future generations. 10.2 Conservation and Sustainability. Conservation and sustainability are crucial aspects of foraging. As foragers, it is our responsibility to ensure that we engage in ethical practices that protect the environment and promote the long-term availability of edible wild plants. By adopting sustainable foraging techniques, we can minimize our impact on natural ecosystems and contribute to the preservation of biodiversity. 10.2.1 Understanding ecosystems. To practice conservation and sustainability in foraging, it is essential to have a basic understanding of ecosystems. Ecosystems are complex networks of living organisms and their physical environment. They consist of various interconnected components, including plants, animals, microorganisms, soil, water, and climate. Each component plays a vital role in maintaining the balance and health of the ecosystem. When foraging, it is crucial to recognize that edible plants are part of a larger ecosystem. Removing plants without considering their ecological role can disrupt the delicate balance of the ecosystem and have negative consequences for other organisms that depend on them. Therefore, it is essential to approach foraging with a mindset of respect and conservation. 10.2.2 Sustainable Foraging Practices. Sustainable foraging practices aim to minimize the impact on the environment while ensuring the long-term availability of edible plants. Here are some key principles to follow. 10.2.2.1 Selective harvesting. Selective harvesting involves carefully choosing which plants to harvest and how many. It is important to only take what is needed and leave behind enough plants to allow for natural regeneration. By selectively harvesting, we can ensure the survival and reproduction of the plant population, allowing it to continue to thrive in its natural habitat. 10.2.2.2 To avoid overharvesting. Overharvesting occurs when plants are collected in excessive quantities, depleting their populations to the point where they cannot recover. This can have severe consequences for both the plant species and the ecosystem as a whole. To avoid overharvesting, it is crucial to gather plants in moderation and be mindful of the specific needs and growth patterns of each species. 10.2.2.3 Respect life cycles and reproduction. Understanding the life cycles and reproduction methods of edible plants is essential for sustainable foraging. Some plants may require specific conditions or seasons to reproduce successfully. By respecting these life cycles and refraining from harvesting during critical stages, such as flowering or seed production, we can ensure the continued growth and survival of the plant population. 10.2.2.4 Leave no trace. When foraging, it is important to leave the environment as we found it. This means minimizing our impact by avoiding unnecessary damage to plants, soil, and other natural features. We should tread lightly, avoid trampling on delicate vegetation, and refrain from disturbing wildlife habitats. By practicing leave no trace principles, we can help preserve the integrity of the ecosystem. 10.2.2.5 Regenerative practices. In addition to sustainable harvesting, foragers can also engage in regenerative practices to give back to the environment. This can include activities such as planting native species, restoring damaged habitats, and participating in community conservation efforts. By actively contributing to the restoration and preservation of ecosystems, we can ensure the long-term sustainability of edible wild plants. 10.2.3 Supporting conservation organizations. Conservation organizations play a vital role in protecting and preserving natural habitats and the species that inhabit them. As foragers, we can support these organizations by becoming members, volunteering our time, or donating to their causes. By contributing to conservation efforts, we can help ensure the continued availability of edible wild plants for future generations. 10.2.4 Promoting biodiversity. Biodiversity refers to the variety of plant and animal species within an ecosystem. It is essential for the health and resilience of ecosystems. As foragers, we can promote biodiversity by diversifying our foraging practices. Instead of focusing solely on a few popular edible plants, we can explore and learn about a wide range of species. By doing so, we can reduce the pressure on specific plants and contribute to the preservation of a diverse and thriving ecosystem. 10.2.5 Educating others. One of the most effective ways to promote conservation and sustainability in foraging is by educating others. By sharing our knowledge and experiences, we can raise awareness about the importance of ethical foraging practices and inspire others to adopt sustainable approaches. Whether through workshops, community events, or online platforms, we can contribute to a collective effort to protect and preserve our natural resources. 10.2.6 Conclusion. Conservation and sustainability are fundamental principles in foraging. By practicing selective harvesting, avoiding overharvesting, respecting life cycles, leaving no trace, and engaging in regenerative practices, we can minimize our impact on the environment and ensure the long-term availability of edible wild plants. Supporting conservation organizations, promoting biodiversity, and educating others are additional ways to contribute to the preservation of our natural resources. By adopting these ethical practices, we can enjoy the abundance of nature while preserving it for future generations. 10.3 Legal considerations for foraging. Foraging for edible wild plants can be a rewarding and sustainable way to connect with nature and enjoy the abundance of natural resources. However, it is important to be aware of the legal considerations surrounding foraging to ensure that you are practicing it responsibly and within the boundaries of the law. This section will provide an overview of some key legal considerations for foraging. 10.3.1 Understanding local laws and regulations. Before you embark on any foraging expedition, it is crucial to familiarize yourself with the local laws and regulations regarding foraging. These laws can vary from one region to another, so it is important to research and understand the specific rules that apply to the area where you plan to forage. Some areas may have restrictions on foraging in certain locations, such as protected areas, national parks, or private property. It is essential to respect these restrictions and obtain any necessary permits or permissions before foraging in these areas. Ignoring these regulations can have serious legal consequences and can harm the environment. 10.3.2 Protected and endangered species. While foraging for edible wild plants, it is important to be aware of protected and endangered species. These species are protected by law to prevent their depletion and ensure their survival. Foraging for these plants can have severe legal consequences and can harm the delicate balance of ecosystems. To avoid unintentionally foraging for protected or endangered species, it is crucial to educate yourself about the plants in your area and their conservation status. Local botanical gardens, conservation organizations, or government agencies can provide valuable information on protected and endangered species in your region. 10.3.3 Harvesting limits and guidelines. Many regions have specific guidelines and limits on the amount of wild plants that can be harvested for personal use. These guidelines are in place to ensure the sustainability of wild plant populations and to prevent overharvesting. It is important to familiarize yourself with these guidelines and adhere to them when foraging. Harvesting beyond the allowed limits can have legal consequences and can harm the environment. Additionally, it is essential to leave enough plants behind to allow for natural regeneration and to provide food for wildlife. 10.3.4 Ethical Foraging Practices. In addition to legal considerations, it is important to practice ethical foraging. Ethical foraging involves respecting the environment, the plants, and the communities that depend on them. It means foraging in a way that minimizes harm and promotes sustainability. Some ethical foraging practices include only harvesting what you need and can use, avoiding the collection of rare or endangered species, respecting the natural habitats of plants and not causing damage to the environment, leaving enough plants behind for natural regeneration and wildlife, being mindful of the impact of your actions on the ecosystem and local communities. By practicing ethical foraging, you can contribute to the preservation of wild plant populations and ensure that future generations can also enjoy the benefits of foraging. 10.3.5 Commercial foraging. While foraging for personal use is generally allowed in many areas, commercial foraging may have additional legal considerations. If you plan to sell or distribute the wild plants you forage, it is important to understand the regulations and requirements for commercial foraging. In some regions, commercial foraging may require permits, licenses, or certifications. These regulations are in place to ensure the quality and safety of the products being sold and to prevent overharvesting. It is important to research and comply with these regulations to avoid legal issues and to maintain the integrity of the foraging industry. 10.3.6 Intellectual Property Rights. It is important to note that some wild plants may be protected by intellectual property rights. This can include patented varieties of cultivated plants or proprietary knowledge related to the cultivation or use of certain plants. When foraging, it is essential to respect these intellectual property rights and avoid the unauthorized use or distribution of protected plant varieties or proprietary knowledge. This includes avoiding the collection or propagation of patented plant varieties without proper authorization. 10.3.7 Liability and Personal Safety. Foraging for wild plants involves some level of risk, and it is important to be aware of your personal safety and liability. While foraging, you should take precautions to avoid accidents, such as wearing appropriate clothing and footwear, using tools safely, and being aware of potential hazards in the environment. Additionally, it is important to be mindful of the potential risks associated with consuming wild plants. Some plants may be toxic or have adverse effects on certain individuals. It is crucial to properly identify plants and consult reliable sources or experts before consuming them. It is also important to note that foraging is done at your own risk, and you are responsible for your actions and their consequences. It is advisable to seek legal advice or consult local authorities if you have any concerns or questions regarding the legal aspects of foraging in your area. In conclusion, foraging for edible wild plants can be a fulfilling and sustainable practice, but it is essential to be aware of the legal considerations. Understanding local laws and regulations, respecting protected and endangered species, adhering to harvesting limits and guidelines, practicing ethical foraging, and being mindful of intellectual property rights are all crucial aspects of responsible foraging. By following these legal considerations, you can enjoy the benefits of foraging while preserving the environment and supporting local communities. 10.4 Supporting local communities. Foraging is not just about finding and enjoying the abundance of edible wild plants, it is also about supporting local communities and fostering a sense of connection with the environment. When we engage in ethical foraging practices, we have the opportunity to contribute positively to the communities in which we live and forage. In this section, we will explore various ways in which we can support local communities through our foraging activities. 10.4.1 Buying local. One of the most direct ways to support local communities is by purchasing foraged goods from local farmers, foragers, or small businesses. By doing so, we not only support their livelihoods but also contribute to the local economy. Many foragers and farmers sell their foraged products at farmers markets, community-supported agriculture (CSA) programs, or through online platforms. By buying directly from them, we can ensure that our foraging practices have a positive impact on the local community. 10.4.2 Participating in community events. Another way to support local communities is by actively participating in community events related to foraging. Many towns and cities organize foraging workshops, wild food festivals, or nature walks led by experienced foragers. By attending these events, we not only learn from experts but also contribute to the success of these initiatives. These events often rely on community support to thrive, and our participation helps to create a vibrant and engaged community around foraging. 10.4.3 Sharing knowledge and skills. Foragers often possess a wealth of knowledge and skills that can be shared with others. By sharing our knowledge and skills with the local community, we can empower others to engage in ethical foraging practices. This can be done through organizing workshops, giving talks at local schools or community centers, or even starting a foraging club or group. By sharing our passion for foraging, we can inspire others to connect with nature and develop a deeper appreciation for the environment. 10.4.4 Volunteering and conservation efforts. Foraging is intimately connected to the health of the environment. Engaging in conservation efforts and volunteering for local environmental organizations is a powerful way to support both the environment and the local community. Many organizations work tirelessly to protect and restore natural habitats, and they often rely on volunteers to assist with their projects. By volunteering our time and energy, we can actively contribute to the preservation of wild spaces and the well-being of the local community. 10.4.5 Collaborating with local businesses. Collaborating with local businesses can create mutually beneficial relationships that support both the foraging community and local entrepreneurs. For example, foragers can partner with restaurants or food producers to supply them with fresh, locally foraged ingredients. This not only promotes the use of sustainable and locally sourced ingredients but also helps to create a unique culinary experience for customers. By working together, foragers and local businesses can strengthen the local food system and promote the value of wild foods. 10.4.6 Supporting indigenous communities. In many regions, indigenous communities have a deep knowledge of traditional foraging practices and the uses of wild plants. Supporting these communities and their traditional knowledge is essential for the preservation of cultural heritage and the sustainable management of natural resources. When foraging in areas with indigenous communities, it is important to respect their rights, traditions, and land. This can be done by seeking permission, engaging in cultural exchange, and supporting indigenous-led initiatives related to foraging and land stewardship. 10.4.7 Donating surplus foraged goods. Foragers often find themselves with a surplus of foraged goods, especially during peak seasons. Instead of letting these go to waste, consider donating them to local food banks, community kitchens, or shelters. This not only helps to reduce food waste but also ensures that those in need have access to fresh and nutritious wild foods. Donating surplus foraged goods is a simple yet impactful way to support the local community and contribute to food security. By supporting local communities through our foraging practices, we can create a more sustainable and interconnected food system. Whether it is through buying local, participating in community events, sharing knowledge, volunteering, collaborating with local businesses, supporting indigenous communities, or donating surplus goods, every action we take has the potential to make a positive difference. Let us embrace the power of foraging to not only nourish ourselves but also to nourish the communities in which we live. 11. Foraging for survival. 11.1 Foraging in emergency situations. In emergency situations, such as being lost in the wilderness or during a natural disaster, knowing how to forage for edible wild plants can be a crucial skill for survival. When traditional food sources are scarce or unavailable, the ability to identify and gather wild plants can provide you with the sustenance needed to stay alive. However, it is important to approach foraging in emergency situations with caution and knowledge to ensure your safety and well-being. 11.1.1 Identifying edible plants in emergency situations. When foraging for edible plants in emergency situations, it is essential to have a solid understanding of plant identification. While it may be tempting to consume any plant you come across, it is crucial to differentiate between edible and poisonous plants. In these situations, it is best to focus on easily recognizable and commonly found edible plants to minimize the risk of consuming something harmful. Look for plants with familiar characteristics such as berries, nuts, or leaves that resemble those of common edible plants. Some examples of easily identifiable edible plants include dandelions, wild strawberries, cattails, and clovers. These plants are widely distributed and have distinct features that make them relatively easy to identify. 11.1.2 Gathering edible plants in emergency situations. When gathering edible plants in emergency situations, it is important to prioritize safety and efficiency. Here are some guidelines to follow. Safety first. Before consuming any wild plant, ensure that you have correctly identified it as edible. If you are unsure, it is best to err on the side of caution and avoid consuming it. Avoid contaminated areas. Be mindful of the environment in which you are foraging. Avoid areas that may be contaminated with pollutants, pesticides, or other harmful substances. Choose healthy plants. Select plants that appear healthy and free from signs of disease or decay. Avoid plants that have been damaged by insects or animals. Harvest responsibly. Only take what you need and avoid overharvesting. Leave enough plants behind to allow for their natural regeneration and to sustain the ecosystem. Clean and prepare. Once you have gathered edible plants, it is important to clean them thoroughly before consumption. Remove any dirt, insects, or other debris. If possible, wash them with clean water. 11.1.3 Common edible plants in emergency situations. In emergency situations, it is helpful to be familiar with some common edible plants that can provide sustenance and nutrition. Here are a few examples. Dandelions. Dandelion leaves can be eaten raw or cooked. They are rich in vitamins A, C, and K, as well as calcium and iron. Clovers. Clover leaves and flowers are edible and can be consumed raw or cooked. They are a good source of vitamins and minerals. Cattails. Cattail shoots, roots, and pollen can be consumed. They are high in carbohydrates and can be cooked or eaten raw. Wild strawberries. Wild strawberries are smaller than cultivated strawberries but are packed with flavor. They can be eaten raw or used in various recipes. Pine trees. The inner bark of pine trees can be scraped off and eaten. It is a good source of nutrients and can be consumed raw or cooked. Remember, this is just a small selection of edible plants that can be found in emergency situations. It is essential to research and familiarize yourself with the edible plants in your specific region to increase your chances of survival. 11.1.4 Precautions and Considerations. While foraging for edible plants in emergency situations can be a life-saving skill, there are some precautions and considerations to keep in mind. Allergies and sensitivities. Some individuals may have allergies or sensitivities to certain plants. It is important to be aware of any personal allergies or sensitivities and avoid consuming plants that may trigger a reaction. Toxic lookalikes. Some edible plants have toxic lookalikes that can be easily mistaken for the safe variety. It is crucial to be able to differentiate between them to avoid consuming something harmful. Water sources. In emergency situations, finding clean water is just as important as finding food. Be cautious when consuming water from natural sources and consider purifying it before drinking. Conservation and sustainability. Even in emergency situations, it is important to practice sustainable foraging techniques. Avoid overharvesting and be mindful of the impact your actions may have on the environment. By understanding how to identify, gather, and consume edible wild plants in emergency situations, you can increase your chances of survival when traditional food sources are scarce. However, it is crucial to approach foraging with caution, prioritize safety, and have a solid understanding of plant identification to ensure your well-being. 11.2 Finding water and edible plants in the wild. When it comes to survival in the wild, finding water and edible plants is crucial. In a survival situation, knowing how to locate and identify sources of water and edible plants can mean the difference between life and death. In this section, we will explore various techniques and strategies for finding water and edible plants in the wild. 11.2.1 Finding water sources. Water is essential for survival, and in a survival situation, finding a reliable source of water should be your top priority. Here are some methods for locating water sources in the wild. Natural water sources. Look for natural water sources such as rivers, streams, lakes, and ponds. These are often the most reliable sources of water in the wild. Follow the sound of running water or look for signs of vegetation that indicate the presence of water nearby. Rainwater. Collecting rainwater can be an effective way to obtain water in the wild. Set up a makeshift rainwater collection system using a tarp or any other waterproof material. Place a container or dig a hole to collect the rainwater. Dew and condensation. In areas with high humidity, you can collect dew or condensation from plants in the early morning. Use a cloth or absorbent material to soak up the moisture and wring it out into a container. Digging for water. In arid regions, water may be found underground. Look for areas with lush vegetation or dig a hole in a dry riverbed. Wait for the hole to fill with water, or use a cloth to soak up the moisture. Water from plants. Some plants, such as cacti, contain water that can be consumed in an emergency. Learn to identify these plants and extract water from them by cutting or squeezing the plant. Remember to purify any water you find in the wild before consuming it. Boiling, using water purification tablets, or filtering with a cloth or improvised filter can help remove harmful bacteria and parasites. 11.2.2 Identifying edible plants. In a survival situation, knowing which plants are safe to eat can be a lifesaver. However, it is essential to be cautious and confident in your plant identification skills. Here are some guidelines for identifying edible plants in the wild. Research and study. Before venturing into the wild, familiarize yourself with the edible plants native to the area. Study field guides, attend workshops, or take courses on plant identification. The more knowledge you have, the better equipped you will be to identify edible plants. Physical characteristics. Learn to recognize the physical characteristics of edible plants. Look for plants with familiar features such as leaves, flowers, fruits, and nuts. Pay attention to color, shape, and texture. Smell and taste. Some edible plants have distinct smells or flavors that can help with identification. Crush a small part of the plant and smell it. If it has a pleasant aroma, it may be safe to eat. However, avoid plants with a bitter or soapy taste, as they can be toxic. Avoid lookalikes. Be aware of poisonous plants that resemble edible ones. Learn to differentiate between similar-looking species by examining their unique characteristics. When in doubt, it is best to err on the side of caution and avoid consuming unknown plants. Start with familiar plants. If you are unsure about a particular plant, stick to those you are confident in identifying. Focus on common edible plants such as dandelions, wild berries, and certain types of mushrooms. Test for allergic reactions. Before consuming a new plant, perform a skin test by rubbing a small part of the plant on your skin and waiting for a reaction. If there is no adverse reaction after a few hours, you can proceed with caution and consume a small amount of the plant. Remember that some plants may be edible only during certain seasons or require specific preparation methods to remove toxins. It is crucial to have a comprehensive understanding of the plants in your surroundings to ensure your safety. 11.2.3 Gathering and preparing edible plants. Once you have identified edible plants in the wild, it is essential to gather and prepare them properly. Here are some tips for gathering and preparing edible plants. Sustainable harvesting. Practice sustainable foraging by only taking what you need and leaving enough plants to ensure their survival. Avoid uprooting entire plants unless necessary. Cleaning and washing. Before consuming any wild plants, thoroughly clean them to remove dirt, insects, and other contaminants. Rinse them with clean water or soak them in water for a short period. Cooking methods. Some wild plants are best consumed cooked to remove toxins or improve taste. Learn different cooking methods such as boiling, steaming, or stir-frying to prepare wild plants. Taste in small quantities. When trying a new plant for the first time, consume a small amount to test for any adverse reactions. Wait for a few hours before consuming more to ensure there are no negative effects. Avoid polluted areas. Be cautious when foraging near roadsides, industrial areas, or areas with potential pollution. These areas may contain contaminants that can be harmful if consumed. Preservation. If you find an abundance of edible plants, consider preserving them for future use. Techniques such as drying, freezing, or canning can help extend the shelf life of foraged foods. Remember that not all wild plants are safe to eat, and it is crucial to be confident in your identification skills before consuming any plant in the wild. When in doubt, consult a reliable source or seek guidance from experienced foragers. In a survival situation, finding water and edible plants can sustain you until help arrives or until you can find your way back to civilization. By learning the necessary skills and knowledge, you can increase your chances of survival and make the most of the resources available in the wild. 11.3 Building shelters and making fire. When foraging for survival, it is essential to have the knowledge and skills to build shelters and make fire. These skills are crucial for providing protection from the elements and ensuring your safety and well-being in the wild. In this section, we will explore various techniques for building shelters and making fire using natural resources found in the environment. 11.3.1 Building shelters. Building a shelter is one of the first priorities when you find yourself in a survival situation. It provides protection from the elements, such as rain, wind, and extreme temperatures. There are several types of shelters you can construct depending on the available resources in your surroundings. 11.3.1.1 Debris shelter. A debris shelter is one of the simplest and most effective types of shelters to build in a survival situation. It utilizes natural materials such as branches, leaves, and debris to create a protective structure. To build a debris shelter, follow these steps. Find a sturdy tree or a natural formation, such as a rock or a fallen log, to serve as the main support for your shelter. Lean large branches against the support to create a framework for the shelter. Fill the gaps between the branches with smaller branches, leaves, and debris to provide insulation and protection. Create a thick layer of debris on top of the shelter to further insulate it from the elements. Make sure the entrance of the shelter is small and low to retain heat and keep out wind and rain. 11.3.1.2 Lean-to shelter. A lean-to shelter is another effective option that requires minimal effort and resources. It involves leaning a large branch or a tarp against a sturdy support, such as a tree or a rock, to create a sloping roof. Follow these steps to build a lean-to shelter. Find a suitable location with a sturdy support for the roof, such as a tree or a rock. Lean a large branch or a tarp against the support at an angle to create a sloping roof. Secure the roof by anchoring it with additional branches or rocks. Use smaller branches, leaves, or debris to cover the sides of the shelter for added protection. Ensure the entrance of the shelter is facing away from the prevailing wind to minimize exposure. 11.3.1.3 Tarp shelter. If you have a tarp or a large piece of waterproof material, you can quickly create a shelter with minimal effort. Follow these steps to build a tarp shelter. Find a suitable location with two sturdy supports, such as trees or poles, to serve as the framework for your shelter. Tie or secure the corners of the tarp to the supports, creating a ridge line. Pull the tarp tight and stake down the sides to create a stable structure. Adjust the height and angle of the tarp to ensure proper drainage and protection from the elements. Use additional ropes or cords to secure the tarp and reinforce the structure if needed. 11.3.2 Making fire. Fire is not only essential for warmth but also for cooking food, purifying water, and signaling for help. Knowing how to make fire using natural resources is a vital skill for survival. Here are some techniques for making fire in the wild. 11.3.2.1 Friction-based methods. Friction-based methods involve creating friction between two pieces of wood to generate enough heat to ignite a fire. The most common friction-based methods are the hand drill and the bow drill. Hand drill. This method involves rotating a wooden stick or spindle against a wooden baseboard using your hands. The friction generated creates an ember that can be transferred to a tinder bundle to start a fire. Bow drill. The bow drill method utilizes a bow, a wooden spindle, a fireboard, and a socket. By rapidly moving the bow back and forth, the spindle rotates against the fireboard, creating friction and generating an ember. 11.3.2.2 Flint and steel. Flint and steel is a traditional method of creating sparks to ignite a fire. It involves striking a piece of flint or other hard rocks against a piece of steel, such as a knife or a striker, to produce sparks. These sparks can then be caught by a tinder bundle to start a fire. 11.3.2.3 Fire plow. The fire plow method involves using a wooden plank or board and a wooden stick to create friction and generate an ember. By rapidly rubbing the stick back and forth along the groove of the plank, heat is generated, and an ember is produced. 11.3.2.4 Fire by compression. Fire by compression methods utilize the principle of compressing air to generate heat. One common method is the fire piston, which consists of a hollow tube with a piston inside. By rapidly pushing the piston into the tube, the air inside is compressed, generating heat and igniting a piece of tinder. 11.3.3 Fire Safety. While fire can be a valuable tool in a survival situation, it is essential to practice fire safety to prevent accidents and minimize the risk of wildfires. Here are some important fire safety considerations. Choose a safe location for your fire, away from flammable materials such as dry grass, leaves, and overhanging branches. Clear the area around your fire pit from any debris or vegetation that could catch fire. Keep a source of water nearby to extinguish the fire if needed. Never leave a fire unattended and ensure it is completely extinguished before leaving the area. Follow any local regulations or restrictions regarding fire usage in the area. By mastering the skills of building shelters and making fire, you increase your chances of survival in a wilderness or emergency situation. These skills not only provide physical protection but also offer a sense of security and comfort in challenging environments. Remember to always prioritize safety and practice responsible fire usage to minimize the impact on the environment. 11.4 Navigating and finding help. When foraging in the wild, it is essential to have the knowledge and skills to navigate your surroundings and find help if needed. Whether you are exploring unfamiliar territory or find yourself in an emergency situation, understanding navigation techniques and knowing how to seek assistance can be crucial for your safety. In this section, we will explore various methods of navigation and provide guidance on finding help when you need it. 11.4.1 Navigation techniques using a compass and map. One of the most reliable methods of navigation is using a compass and map. Before venturing into the wild, it is advisable to familiarize yourself with the area by studying a detailed map. Identify prominent landmarks, such as rivers, mountains, or distinctive trees, that can serve as reference points. Additionally, learn how to read a compass and understand the different directions north, south, east, and west. By combining your map reading skills with compass navigation, you can determine your location and navigate to your desired destination. Using natural navigation methods. In situations where you don't have a compass or map, you can rely on natural navigation methods. Observing the sun, moon, stars, and shadows can provide valuable information about direction. For example, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, allowing you to determine approximate directions during daylight hours. The North Star Polaris can be used as a reference point for finding north during the night. Additionally, paying attention to the growth patterns of plants, the flow of water, and the behavior of animals can offer clues about your surroundings and help you navigate. Using GPS and navigation apps. In today's digital age, technology can be a valuable tool for navigation. Global Positioning System (GPS) devices and navigation apps on smartphones can provide accurate real-time information about your location and help you navigate through unfamiliar terrain. However, it is important to note that relying solely on technology can be risky, as batteries can die or signals can be lost. Always carry backup navigation tools and be prepared to navigate without technology if necessary. 11.4.2 Finding help in the wild. Signaling for help. If you find yourself in an emergency situation and need assistance, it is crucial to know how to signal for help effectively. Here are some methods you can use to attract attention. Auditory signals. Shouting, blowing a whistle, or using any loud noise-making device can help alert nearby individuals to your presence. Visual signals. Creating a visible signal can increase your chances of being spotted. You can use a mirror or any reflective surface to flash sunlight, build a signal fire, or use brightly colored clothing or objects to attract attention. SOS signal. The International Distress Signal, SOS, consists of 3 short signals, followed by 3 long signals, and then 3 short signals again. This pattern can be transmitted using sound, light, or any other means available to you. Seeking assistance from others. If you are lost or in need of help, it is important to stay calm and assess your situation. Look for signs of civilization, such as roads, buildings, or trails, and head towards them if possible. If you come across other individuals, approach them cautiously and explain your situation. Most people are willing to lend a helping hand in times of need. Using emergency communication devices. Carrying emergency communication devices, such as satellite phones or personal locator beacons, PLBs, can greatly increase your chances of getting help in remote areas. These devices allow you to send distress signals and communicate with emergency services, providing your exact location and situation. However, it is crucial to familiarize yourself with the operation of these devices before your trip and ensure they are in working condition. Leaving clues and markers. If you need to leave your current location to find help, it is important to leave clues and markers behind to aid search and rescue teams in locating you. This can include creating arrows or signs using rocks or sticks, leaving clothing or personal items in visible locations, or marking trees or rocks with distinctive symbols. These markers can help rescuers track your movements and increase the chances of being found. Remember, prevention is always better than finding yourself in a dire situation. Before embarking on any foraging adventure, inform someone about your plans, including your expected return time and the area you will be exploring. This way, if you do not return as planned, they can initiate a search or notify the appropriate authorities. Stay aware of your surroundings, be prepared with essential supplies, and always prioritize your safety when foraging in the wild. 12. Foraging is a lifestyle. 12.1 Living off the land. Living off the land is a lifestyle that involves relying on the natural resources around us for sustenance. Foraging for edible wild plants is a key aspect of this lifestyle, as it allows individuals to connect with nature, reduce their ecological footprint, and enjoy the abundance of nutritious foods that the earth provides. 12.1.1 The benefits of living off the land. Living off the land through foraging offers numerous benefits, both for individuals and the environment. Here are some of the key advantages. 1. Health and nutrition. Foraging for edible wild plants provides an opportunity to incorporate fresh, nutrient-rich foods into our diets. Wild plants are often more nutrient-dense than their cultivated counterparts, as they grow in diverse ecosystems and are not subjected to chemical fertilizers or pesticides. By consuming a variety of wild plants, we can enhance our overall health and well-being. 2. Sustainability. Living off the land promotes sustainable practices by reducing our reliance on industrial agriculture. Foraging for wild plants requires no land cultivation, irrigation, or transportation, which helps to minimize our carbon footprint. By sourcing our food directly from nature, we can contribute to the preservation of natural habitats and biodiversity. 3. Cost savings. Foraging for edible wild plants can significantly reduce our grocery bills. Instead of purchasing expensive organic produce, we can find nutritious foods for free in our local environment. This not only saves money but also encourages a more self-sufficient and frugal lifestyle. 4. Connection with nature. Living off the land allows us to develop a deeper connection with the natural world. By spending time outdoors, observing and interacting with plants, we can cultivate a sense of awe and appreciation for the beauty and complexity of the ecosystems around us. This connection with nature has been shown to improve mental health and overall well-being. 12.1.2 Getting started with living off the land. If you are interested in embracing a lifestyle of living off the land, here are some steps to help you get started. 1. Educate yourself. Before venturing into the world of foraging, it is essential to educate yourself about the local flora and fauna. Invest in field guides or join local foraging groups to learn about the edible plants in your area. Familiarize yourself with plant identification techniques and understand the seasons and habitats in which different plants thrive. 2. Start small. Begin your foraging journey by focusing on a few easily identifiable and commonly found edible plants. This will help you build confidence in your identification skills and ensure that you are harvesting safe and nutritious foods. Some beginner-friendly plants include dandelions, wild garlic, nettles, and blackberries. 3. Respect the environment. When foraging, it is crucial to practice sustainable harvesting techniques and respect the natural environment. Only take what you need and avoid overharvesting. Be mindful of the impact you have on the ecosystem and strive to leave the area as you found it. Remember, foraging is a symbiotic relationship with nature, and it is our responsibility to protect and preserve it. 4. Experiment in the kitchen. Once you have gathered your forage treasures, it's time to get creative in the kitchen. Experiment with different cooking methods and recipes to make the most of the flavors and textures of wild plants. From salads and soups to stir-fries and teas, the possibilities are endless. Embrace the adventure of discovering new tastes and incorporating them into your meals. 12.1.3 Embracing a sustainable lifestyle. Living off the land goes beyond foraging for edible wild plants. It is a holistic approach to sustainable living that encompasses various aspects of our lives. Here are some additional ways to embrace a sustainable lifestyle. 1. Reduce waste. Minimize waste by practicing composting, recycling, and reusing. Embrace a minimalist mindset and prioritize quality over quantity when making purchasing decisions. By reducing our consumption and waste, we can lessen our impact on the environment. 2. Grow your own food. Consider starting a garden to grow your own fruits, vegetables, and herbs. This allows you to have a direct connection with your food and ensures its freshness and quality. Additionally, gardening provides an opportunity to cultivate a deeper understanding of the natural cycles and processes involved in food production. 3. Conserve energy and water. Take steps to conserve energy and water in your daily life. Use energy-efficient appliances, turn off lights when not in use, and reduce water consumption by fixing leaks and practicing mindful water usage. These small changes can add up to significant environmental benefits. 4. Support local and sustainable businesses. Choose to support local farmers, artisans, and businesses that prioritize sustainability and ethical practices. By purchasing locally sourced and sustainable products, we can contribute to the growth of our communities and promote a more sustainable economy. Living off the land through foraging and embracing a sustainable lifestyle is a rewarding and fulfilling journey. It allows us to reconnect with nature, nourish our bodies with wholesome foods, and make a positive impact on the environment. So, grab your basket and venture into the wild to experience the joys of living off the land. 12.2 Creating a foraging garden. Creating a foraging garden is a wonderful way to bring the joys of foraging right to your doorstep. By cultivating a garden specifically designed for growing edible wild plants, you can have a constant supply of fresh, nutritious, and delicious ingredients at your fingertips. Not only does a foraging garden provide a sustainable source of food, but it also allows you to connect with nature and experience the satisfaction of growing your own food. 12.2.1 Choosing the right location. When planning your foraging garden, it's important to choose the right location. Ideally, the garden should receive ample sunlight throughout the day, as most edible wild plants thrive in sunny conditions. Additionally, consider the soil quality and drainage. Edible wild plants often prefer well-drained soil, so ensure that the garden area has good drainage to prevent waterlogging. 12.2.2 Designing the garden. Designing your foraging garden involves creating a layout that maximizes space and promotes healthy plant growth. Consider incorporating raised beds or containers to provide better control over soil quality and drainage. This also helps to prevent the spread of invasive plants and allows for easier maintenance. To mimic the natural environment, try to create different microhabitats within your garden. This can be achieved by varying the soil types, moisture levels, and exposure to sunlight. By doing so, you can accommodate a wider range of edible wild plants that have different growing requirements. 12.2.3 Selecting edible wild plants. The selection of edible wild plants for your foraging garden is crucial. Choose plants that are native to your region and are well suited to the growing conditions in your garden. Native plants are more likely to thrive and require less maintenance compared to non-native species. Consider including a variety of edible plants that offer different flavors, textures, and nutritional benefits. Some popular choices for a foraging garden include dandelions, wild strawberries, lamb's quarters, purslane, and wild garlic. Research the specific growing requirements of each plant to ensure they are compatible with your garden's conditions. 12.2.4 Planting and caring for edible wild plants. Once you have selected the plants for your foraging garden, it's time to start planting. Follow the recommended planting guidelines for each species, taking into account factors such as spacing, depth, and watering requirements. It's important to provide adequate space between plants to allow for proper air circulation and prevent overcrowding. Regular maintenance is essential for the health and productivity of your foraging garden. This includes watering, weeding, and fertilizing as needed. Keep an eye out for pests and diseases, and take appropriate measures to control them without the use of harmful chemicals. Regularly harvest the edible parts of the plants to encourage continuous growth and prevent them from becoming overgrown. 12.2.5 Expanding your foraging garden. As your foraging garden grows and matures, you may find yourself wanting to expand and diversify your plant selection. Consider adding new edible wild plants to your garden each year to keep it fresh and exciting. You can also experiment with different growing techniques, such as vertical gardening or companion planting, to maximize space and increase productivity. 12.2.6 Sharing and exchanging plants. Foraging gardens are not only a source of food but also a way to connect with others who share a passion for wild plants. Consider joining local foraging communities or participating in plant exchange events to meet like-minded individuals and expand your plant collection. Sharing knowledge and experiences with fellow foragers can be a valuable source of inspiration and learning. 12.2.7 Harvesting and using the bounty. When the time comes to harvest the fruits of your labor, it's important to do so responsibly. Only harvest what you need and leave enough plants to ensure their survival and future growth. Be mindful of the impact your harvesting practices may have on the local ecosystem and take steps to minimize any negative effects. Once you have harvested your edible wild plants, there are numerous ways to incorporate them into your meals. From salads and stir-fries to soups and smoothies, the possibilities are endless. Experiment with different cooking methods and recipes to fully enjoy the flavors and nutritional benefits of your foraged bounty. Creating a foraging garden is a rewarding endeavor that allows you to embrace the beauty and abundance of nature. By cultivating a space dedicated to growing edible wild plants, you can experience the joy of foraging right in your own backyard. So roll up your sleeves, dig in the dirt, and embark on this exciting journey of creating a foraging garden that will nourish both your body and soul. 12.3 Foraging communities and events. Foraging is not just a solitary activity, it can also be a wonderful way to connect with like-minded individuals who share a passion for the natural world and the bounty it provides. Joining a foraging community or attending foraging events can enhance your foraging experience, expand your knowledge, and foster a sense of belonging within a supportive network of fellow foragers. 12.3.1 Joining foraging communities. Foraging communities are groups of individuals who come together to share their experiences, knowledge, and enthusiasm for foraging. These communities can take various forms, such as online forums, social media groups, local clubs, or organized gatherings. Joining a foraging community can provide you with a wealth of resources and opportunities to learn from experienced foragers. Online forums and social media groups. The internet has made it easier than ever to connect with other foragers from around the world. Online forums and social media groups dedicated to foraging are excellent platforms to ask questions, share your own discoveries, and learn from the experiences of others. These communities often have members with diverse backgrounds and expertise, making them a valuable resource for expanding your foraging knowledge. Local clubs and organizations. Many regions have local foraging clubs or organizations that organize regular meetings, workshops, and foraging outings. These clubs often have experienced foragers as members who are willing to share their knowledge and guide newcomers. Joining a local club can provide you with opportunities to explore new foraging areas, learn about local edible plants, and connect with others who share your passion for foraging. 12.3.2 Foraging Events. Foraging events are gatherings that bring together foragers of all levels of experience to learn, share, and celebrate the abundance of the natural world. These events can take various forms, such as workshops, guided foraging walks, festivals, or conferences. Attending foraging events can be a great way to deepen your understanding of foraging, discover new edible plants, and connect with a wider community of foragers. Workshops and guided foraging walks. Workshops and guided foraging walks are educational events where experienced foragers share their knowledge and expertise with participants. These events often focus on specific topics, such as plant identification, sustainable foraging practices, or culinary uses of wild plants. Attending a workshop or guided foraging walk can provide you with hands-on learning experiences, allowing you to develop your skills and confidence as a forager. Foraging festivals and gatherings. Foraging festivals and gatherings are larger-scale events that celebrate the abundance of edible wild plants in a particular region. These events often feature a variety of activities, including foraging walks, cooking demonstrations, lectures, and opportunities to purchase or sample foraged foods. Foraging festivals and gatherings are not only educational but also provide a vibrant and festive atmosphere where you can connect with other foragers, local artisans, and food enthusiasts. Conferences and symposia. Foraging conferences and symposia bring together experts, researchers, and enthusiasts from various fields related to foraging. These events often feature presentations, panel discussions, and workshops on topics such as ethnobotany, ecological sustainability, and the cultural significance of wild foods. Attending a foraging conference or symposium can provide you with a deeper understanding of the broader implications of foraging and expose you to cutting-edge research and ideas. 12.3.3 Benefits of foraging communities and events. Joining a foraging community or attending foraging events can offer numerous benefits beyond expanding your knowledge of edible wild plants. Here are some of the advantages. Learning and skill development. Foraging communities and events provide opportunities to learn from experienced foragers, gain new insights, and develop your foraging skills. Whether it's through online discussions, workshops, or guided walks, you can acquire valuable knowledge about plant identification, harvesting techniques, and culinary uses of wild plants. Networking and community building. Foraging communities and events allow you to connect with like-minded individuals who share your passion for foraging. These connections can lead to lasting friendships, mentorship opportunities, and a sense of belonging within a supportive community. Sharing your experiences, discoveries, and challenges with fellow foragers can be both inspiring and motivating. Environmental stewardship. Foraging communities and events often emphasize the importance of sustainable foraging practices and environmental stewardship. By connecting with others who are passionate about the natural world, you can deepen your understanding of the ecological impact of foraging and learn how to minimize your footprint while enjoying the benefits of wild foods. Cultural exchange and appreciation. Foraging communities and events bring together individuals from diverse backgrounds and cultures. This diversity provides a unique opportunity to learn about different foraging traditions, culinary practices, and cultural perspectives on wild foods. Engaging in cultural exchange fosters a deeper appreciation for the rich tapestry of human relationships with the natural world. Inspiration and creativity. Being part of a foraging community or attending foraging events can inspire you to explore new areas, try new recipes, and experiment with different foraged ingredients. The collective knowledge and creativity of the community can spark your own imagination and open up new possibilities in your foraging journey. In conclusion, joining a foraging community or attending foraging events can greatly enhance your foraging experience. These communities and events provide opportunities to learn, connect, and celebrate the abundance of edible wild plants. By engaging with others who share your passion, you can deepen your knowledge, develop your skills, and foster a sense of belonging within a supportive network of fellow foragers. So, embrace the opportunity to connect with others and immerse yourself in the vibrant world of foraging communities and events. 12.4 Foraging is a mindful practice. Foraging is not just about finding and harvesting edible plants, it can also be a mindful practice that connects us to nature and promotes a sense of well-being. When approached with mindfulness, foraging becomes more than just a means of gathering food, it becomes a way to deepen our connection with the natural world and cultivate a greater appreciation for the abundance that surrounds us. 12.4.1 The Art of Mindful Foraging. Mindful foraging involves being fully present in the moment, engaging all of our senses, and developing a deep awareness of our surroundings. It is about slowing down, observing, and connecting with the natural environment in a profound way. By practicing mindfulness while foraging, we can enhance our overall experience and develop a deeper understanding of the plants and ecosystems we interact with. 12.4.2 Cultivating Gratitude and Appreciation. One of the key aspects of mindful foraging is cultivating gratitude and appreciation for the plants we encounter. Instead of viewing them as mere resources for our consumption, we can develop a sense of reverence and respect for the natural world. By taking the time to observe and appreciate the beauty and intricacy of each plant, we can develop a deeper connection and a greater sense of gratitude for the gifts that nature provides. 12.4.3 Deepening our connection with nature. Foraging mindfully allows us to deepen our connection with nature on a spiritual and emotional level. As we immerse ourselves in the natural environment, we become more attuned to the rhythms and cycles of the seasons, the changing weather patterns, and the interdependence of all living beings. This connection can bring a sense of peace, harmony, and belonging, as we recognize our place within the larger web of life. 12.4.4 Developing Patience and Resilience. Mindful foraging requires patience and resilience. It teaches us to slow down, observe, and adapt to the ever-changing conditions of the natural world. Sometimes, the plants we seek may be elusive or scarce, and we must learn to accept and adapt to these challenges. By cultivating patience and resilience in our foraging practice, we can also develop these qualities in our daily lives, helping us navigate through the ups and downs with greater ease and grace. 12.4.5 Enhancing our senses. Foraging mindfully allows us to engage all of our senses, heightening our awareness and deepening our connection with the natural world. We can learn to recognize the subtle differences in scent, texture, and color of various plants, and develop a more nuanced understanding of their characteristics. By honing our senses through mindful foraging, we can also enhance our appreciation for the sensory experiences in other aspects of our lives. 12.4.6 Practicing mindfulness in harvesting. Mindful foraging extends beyond the act of finding and identifying edible plants. It also encompasses the way we harvest and interact with the plants. When harvesting mindfully, we approach each plant with care and respect, ensuring that we only take what we need and leaving behind enough for the plant to regenerate. By practicing mindfulness in our harvesting techniques, we can contribute to the sustainability and long-term health of the ecosystems we forage in. 12.4.7 Connecting with others. Foraging can also be a social activity that brings people together. Mindful foraging can provide an opportunity to connect with others who share a passion for nature and wild foods. By participating in foraging communities and events, we can learn from each other, share knowledge and experiences, and foster a sense of belonging and camaraderie. These connections can enrich our foraging practice and deepen our understanding of the natural world. 12.4.8 Cultivating mindfulness in everyday life. The practice of mindful foraging can extend beyond the act of gathering wild plants. It can become a way of life, a mindset that we carry with us in our everyday activities. By cultivating mindfulness in our interactions with nature, we can develop a greater appreciation for the beauty and abundance that surrounds us, and become more conscious of our impact on the environment. Mindful foraging can inspire us to live in harmony with nature and make choices that support the well-being of the planet. 12.4.9 The healing power of nature. Foraging mindfully can also have a profound impact on our well-being. Spending time in nature has been shown to reduce stress, improve mood, and enhance overall mental and physical health. By immersing ourselves in the natural world and engaging in mindful foraging, we can tap into the healing power of nature and experience a sense of peace, rejuvenation, and connection with something greater than ourselves. 12.4.10 Conclusion. Foraging as a mindful practice offers us an opportunity to deepen our connection with nature, cultivate gratitude and appreciation, and develop qualities such as patience, resilience, and mindfulness. By approaching foraging with a sense of reverence and respect, we can not only nourish our bodies with wild foods but also nourish our souls and foster a greater sense of well-being. Mindful foraging is an invitation to slow down, observe, and engage with the natural world in a way that brings us closer to ourselves, each other, and the earth.